Welcome to Nice and Blunt. It's time for another podcast episode. I'm happy to have Angus back on the channel, and today we're going to be reviewing the Subscriber League draft, talk about every team. Welcome aboard, Angus. How you feeling?
Absolutely amazing. The subscriber league draft, the auction draft, I looked forward to it every year, and this year did not disappoint. It's for sure, at least for me, the highlight of my fantasy season. I feel everyone came very prepared. The energy was high, even though we were all separate. But yeah, thought it was a really great time.
Yeah, we got some competitive teams, and let's just jump right in here. Let's talk about your team first. I got it on the channel. Uh, you started off in the draft with your team name being "We Did It, Joe," and you're
Mhm.
staying political, but you're going a little more controversial. They hit the second Bauer is your official team name. I
Well,
think that's better. I think that's better.
we can't forget, that's
No,
the
can
important part.
never forget. And
Never
you do have Bowers on the team. You don't have Joe Burrow, so it's more appropriate
more
to
appropriate.
be
Yeah.
pivoting. But I'd say you have like a sneaky elite team as long as quarterback hits.
Yeah, I need what I like about every player on my lineup is you can tell yourself an upside story,
Hmm.
which I feel when you start out in the season you kind of need to have because as we all know, a lot of your picks don't work out or people turn out to be busts, they get hurt, but you at least have to tell yourself, okay, if things break right for this player, what does that look like? Like what does it look like when you win? I think that's a great mentality to have when you draft.
I feel like every bench spot has a chance to like be top 10 in some weeks. Like Mason Jones is old, and if the
Hmm.
touchdown roll is all his, then you got a dope bench stash. You got Tootin, who I think
Hmm.
will come alive
Hmm.
eventually, just a matter of time. And then if Bijan ever goes down, I would like to have Algier on my bench, but you got him. And then I love the late round Luther Burden for $1. I thought that was
Hmm.
super clutch. I would have probably rather had Burden than I think I took Demario as like my last receiver.
Hmm.
But Rashi Rice, I'm happy that he plugs up your bench and you can't put him on IR. That
Yeah, that was the first nomination if I remember correctly. Either the first or second,
my first nomination, I think I was the fourth on the board. So yeah, very early in the draft.
very
And
early.
you spent how much on him? Like 13, if I'm not mistaken.
$13. I was prepared to go to 15, no problem. So I had that in my mind as he was on there. Yeah,
I think
he's a target for me this year.
I think that's fine in terms of like overall ADP. I put up a Angus can see it. Maybe I'll show the chat, the viewers, but probably not. For $13, that's a mid fifth round pick.
Mhm.
So that's basically where he's going on Underdog. Sometimes there's a discount. Sometimes he goes like the fourth round. Sometimes you can get him in the sixth,
Mhm.
but mid fifth, that's pretty appropriate. So a very fair price on Rashi. And then once he like plugs into your lineup, you have very high upside. But the starters with T Law and Fields at quarterback, like you'll flip flop. Fields was top 10 last year when he
Mhm.
was with the Steelers. So the rushing upside's definitely there. I love that you have
Mhm.
two top 10 running backs in Jacobs and Bucky. Really, really solid floor plays there. And then Brian Thomas, just like such a stud.
Yeah.
Waddle could be like the steal of the draft potentially for $8.
I thought about it, was the most important player I drafted, especially with Rice missing the first part of the year.
Yeah.
Once it happened and he went off for single digits, I was thrilled because at that point I only had like $15 was my max bid. So I
Okay.
was very like, okay, maybe I can get Tet. That turned out to not be true. I thought maybe I can get Pickens. That wasn't true. So a lot of the receivers that went around him that I was like angling for all went for like 14 plus, I feel, or at least 12 plus. So it was great to get Waddle in that single digits. And I feel like, I don't know if you noticed this in the draft, and it's kind of every auction draft. When it's one of the first players in a tier, they usually go for either fair price or a little bit of a discount. But then as those players in that tier whittle down, the there's a heightened sense of, oh shoot, I need to get somebody. And so you can bid them up pretty quickly.
Yeah. The
A good example, we'll get to it later, is Nico Collins was the very last of a tier, and he ended up being one of the more expensive players out there. He's talented enough to earn it. I'm not saying it was a bad pick. It's just way more expensive than I thought he would have gone for.
yeah, that is a very fair point. Like when you maybe don't. care as much about the specific player in the tier, they do
Hmm.
usually go at a discount before that tier whittles down. The
Hmm.
urgency becomes a big factor. So good for you. I think that could be like a sneaky top 20 receiver, especially if they trade Tyreek Hill, like I'm expecting. But
Hmm.
obviously, if Tua goes down, good luck with Zach
Oh,
Wilson.
the Dolphins in general are super fragile and it could not work out, but for single digits, I'm fine with that. So real quick on Rice, I'm a big Rice person. I know that's where we differ, especially this year. I know you're out on him for valid reasons, like karmically and whatnot. My pitch on Rice, it's a play for the playoffs, of course, like
Yeah,
clearly because he's going to miss 6 weeks and then they have the bye week in week 10. So if you think about like he's going to miss a giant portion of the beginning of the year where he can't really help me. But I do think he has such a clear role in this offense. And I even think there's a room for Xavier Worthy to take another step in his career and it not really impact Rice at all. And specifically there, like if Justin Jefferson, right, goes to the Bills with Josh Allen, he's still going to be amazing, if not even better. I'm not saying Rashi Rice is this elite level talent where like if he went to the Bills, he'd just cook and be worth a second round pick. And I do think in this offense, I would if he was playing the whole year fully healthy, I think he should go in that AJ Brown range. Like that's where he should probably go. So he's a true second round pick when he's on the field, but it's because he's in this Chiefs offense where he is playing in that historic Kelsey role that they have, where he runs a curl, sits right between the two zone defenders, catches the ball, and gets yak. Mahomes can do that all day long. And people criticize the Chiefs for the dink and dunk offense. They're really good at it. It's to the point where they know in the fourth quarter, we will do this all down the field. You will not stop us. And they use Rashi Rice for that. And Xavier Worthy even helps him by creating that vertical space. It causes the safeties to drop back. And he's just so good at beating the linebacker, sitting down in between the zone, and just turning that into a massive play. So I think he's perfect for the offense they want to run. I'm of the opinion, like I know all offseason the Chiefs have said we want to throw the deep ball more. I think that was a Tyreek Hill stat more than a Patrick Mahomes stat that they used to have all those deep passes.
fair.
Case in point, the quarterback before Mahomes, I think it was Alex Smith. Before Tyreek got there, he was a dink and dunk merchant. He has 1 year with Tyreek, and all of a sudden he's pushing the ball downfield. We saw it with Tua. Tua was kind of a dink and dunk merchant to Jalen Waddle before Tyreek got there, and then that next year he leads the league in passing and is throwing the ball deep to Tyreek.
Yeah.
So they could talk about wanting to bring back the deep pass all they want. I don't know. I think they're just going to keep doing the dink and dunk, just better at it this year because the tackle position is going to be more fortified and they kind of will have a bit of a chip on their shoulder. So that's why I'm excited for Rice.
When he's healthy, the argument against him versus like Lad McConkey or JSN,
Hmm.
you can easily pick Rashi Rice in that spot. So you definitely
Yep.
have the upside once he's back. I'm just hoping that plugging up your bench, you might lose a little more in the early season, and
So I did want to get your
hopefully that.
opinion on my Michael Pittman pick because he's
Yeah,
someone who I think is a screaming value this year. Like,
I'm not
wasn't it like a
convinced.
couple, so like 2 years ago where he was like a round 3, 4 pick?
Yeah,
When was that? Like,
it was
now granted,
before they had Richardson.
it was before they had Richardson, but we as a fantasy community were like, this dude can ball. And then last year he was hurt. Like, I think he either had a broken back or at least a back injury.
He wasn't
But
100%, but
the jump from Anthony Richardson, who at least skill set wise is not an NFL quarterback. Like he has the measurables,
no
but he's just
accuracy.
he can't run a functional offense.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones is a bad quarterback, like for sure, but he could at least run a functional offense. And I think the reason Shane Steichen went and got him, he was like, look, there's a chance I get fired after this year. And he used to be Ben Johnson. Like he was the
Right.
offensive genius leaving the Eagles for a head coaching job. So in his eyes, he hasn't done anything over the past couple seasons. He needs to kind of show he's worth an OC position if he gets fired, or at least buy himself 1 more year. So
Oh,
he wants to run a functional offense, and Daniel Jones can do that. And I think maybe one of the bigger beneficiaries of that who hasn't gotten a jump was Michael Pittman.
it's possible he really crushes, but I felt like last year Downs kind of elevated and like proved enough where they're at least on like equal footing in my mind.
Is he
Downs
still
did get
hurt?
hurt. I
Yeah,
think he's
like
going to be ready for week one though. He got
yeah.
hurt kind of hurt early in the offseason, so
Hmm.
I think he'll be all right. I'm just really worried about Tyler Warren really
Mhm.
changing the nature of their offense. Like every time Pittman has been good, you know, for the last decade, it feels like the tight end's irrelevant in
Mhm.
Indianapolis. Now that's really going to change. So they'd play different roles. Obviously, it's like different types of targets, but if AD Mitchell steps up and Alec Pierce
Mhm.
doesn't like disappear, then how many like targets is he actually going to get if Tyler Warren's actually like the stud that, is reported to be? So I'm kind of
So I
worried
thought
about his
Warren would
target share.
impact downs more than he would impact Pittman, kind of like what you were saying.
Probably, but it's just at the end of the day, it's maybe 9 targets that are no longer going to
Hmm.
receivers.
Sure.
But he's definitely valuable, I think, in terms of a floor play to carry you while we like don't know what to expect from Burden, and then the
Hmm.
running backs you have are a bit of a gamble. I think as a flex play, really good, but more so like a bench stash than like a
Hmm.
weekly starter. But
Yep. I just need him to get me to Rushy coming
yeah,
back
and then
is what he's going to be.
And then in the context of like the price you got on Bowers, you paid 32. That is cheaper than Trey McBride, and I would not rank McBride above Bowers. It's
Yeah.
possible
I
they
was
both
gonna,
had like similar target
yeah.
share last year, but touchdowns I would trust Bowers more. And then in terms of like full price, you got him for the round 3 pick 5 value, like an ADP of pick 2930. So if
Hmm.
Bowers never falls into the third round, so just that
Yep.
alone, you got a really nice price on Bowers. But
And I was willing to go up to like 42 for him. Like I had that penciled in. I felt he would be easily worth like $40. So when it closed out at 32, I was very happy.
yeah, pick 40 in terms of like ADP price, pick 20, I mean,
Hmm.
would have been what you spent on Jacobs and Bucky, 41 apiece would have
Hmm.
been like the expected price. So you did get like a really solid
Those were
discount.
fair. Yeah, and that's why I was willing to jump in on those. I That's another thing too about auction drafts, and I don't know if you feel this way. Like having set players in your mind, like Bauer's excluded because he's so unique. Like there's not really a player like him. Or I didn't plan on drafting Jacobs or Bucky, but like the price seemed good, so you kind of got to be willing to jump on those, and that's why you got to pay attention.
You also waited to kind of the end of that elite top 10 tier, and for the
Hmm.
price comparatively, like you spent the same as Jonathan Taylor, $1 less than Chase Brown,
Hmm.
$3 more than Kyron. So very fair value. Late round 2 is definitely a good target. So you went a little bit
Hmm.
studs and duds with
Hmm.
Bowers, BT, and the two running backs, but I think as long as the quarterbacks work out for you, or like you
Hmm.
get a good option off the waiver wire later, then I think you're
Hmm.
definitely in good shape. But
Yeah, I'm
maybe we
pumped.
move on to another
Hmm.
team. I guess we can talk about mine.
Yeah, let's do it.
I feel like my team is really scary, but by no means perfect. Like
Yeah, I mean, for sure, you're putting a lot on two rookies, which,
more than two rookies. I have like
yeah,
3 rookies in my starting lineup, and then
yeah,
my bench
that's
is
true.
also kind of reliant on rookie wide receivers. But I just
Hmm.
believe that the way that this draft, like in the NFL draft, shaked out, there were
Hmm.
very few like elite caliber players, but there was a lot of starting caliber players. So I do think trusting Jaden
Hmm.
Higgins for depth is not going to be a bad option for
Hmm.
me. I think as long as Myers like stays in Las Vegas and they use him appropriately, I'm kind of worried about Cooper. Then I'm comfortable with him on the bench, but honestly, like I'm really worried about my wide receiver depth being a problem as the season goes on. But I do trust Adams to score me touchdowns. That
Hmm.
I think is going to be money in the bank. And then
Yeah,
Igbuka, I did overspend on Igbuka, but I just wanted him so bad. Like at the end of the
yeah.
day, his full price point, $28, turns out to be the 34th pick overall. So late round
Hmm.
3, that's a little a little too expensive.
Yeah, but he's so normally the knock on rookie wide receivers is you're like, yeah, but like, what are they going to do in the beginning of the season? They're going to
That's
take a
not the
while to
case
ramp
with him.
up. The report is like Godwin's out until at least week 5, something like that.
I
So
don't think he'll be
he,
100% till week 10, and even
well,
that is
that's
like asking too much.
100%.
His
So
ankle practically snapped off.
he's going to come into such an immediate role with a quarterback that can get him the ball. Lord knows Evans is getting up there in age and is just going to
Hmm.
probably run different types of routes than him. So he's going to be in, it's such a unique opportunity where this rookie wide, first round caliber wide receiver is thrust into a good offense with a good quarterback and can just immediately get a lot of targets. And you know they're going to want to get him going too, because I
You
do
know
think
it.
the Bucks are, they're like, listen, we're probably going to win the division, so we're technically Super Bowl contenders.
If they're in the NFC Championship, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
So they have every reason to be like, we're going for it this year. Like we got a solid team. We should try to go for it. And a lot of that's going to be Igbuka stepping up. So they're going to want to get him going. So it's a lot, sure, but it's not like an overpay,
I was willing to go.
especially with the
Um,
Henderson price you got. Like that balanced any of that out.
that saved me for sure, but I was honestly willing to go to like 33 on Igbuka if I had to, just because I wanted him
Mhm,
so bad.
mhm,
And if McMillan wasn't hurt, then maybe I probably wouldn't be that comfortable. But last year when McMillan was filling in for Godwin as the number two, McMillan averaged 13 plus points a game in those 7 games as the number two receiver. And there's an argument that Igbuka is actually their number one receiver this year because
mhm,
of Evans' age and Godwin's health concerns. It wouldn't shock me at
mhm,
all. So I think from like a floor standpoint, until Godwin comes back, he's going to be giving me double-digit fantasy points every week. I think that's a very safe
mhm,
call. He has the upside of
mhm,
giving me like top 10 production, and while that might be a little optimistic, because I have three really good receivers, I'm comfortable trusting my like talent evaluation. Where as the season goes on, I'll be scanning the waiver wire every week, and I
mhm,
trust that I can get like good options to plug in based on
mhm,
matchups and value. Like that's one aspect where in this auction format, like I know running back's going to kind of dwindle out, and
mhm,
you're going to feel kind of desperate if you don't have a third guy you can trust. Having
mhm.
Henderson in the flex, I feel like is such a luxury where I
Yep.
don't need elite depth at receiver. I might be totally wrong on Jaden Higgins, but I do trust him as like a solid value and like floor play. Myers should be a good
Mhm,
floor play, and
mhm,
then I did drop Demario this morning for Ayamanor. I might drop him after like week 3, but
mhm.
I think Cam Ward could really be a valuable asset to where like if especially if Ridley goes down, a
Oh yeah.
Yamanor's locked into the top target. And even when Ridley's healthy, like somebody else is gonna have to get targets. And I
Yep.
trust him to be their number two receiver. So I'll take a shot on him. Maybe I pivot to someone else if they emerge, but I at least want to have like, a flyer. And then I
Mhm,
also signed the Packers defense this morning because I put
mhm.
Tajay on IR, and like I already thought that they were like a team that should have been drafted. Now they got Parsons, like they could be top 5. Oh fuck,
That was wild. That
that's
was
gonna be
absolutely
fun.
wild. No, for sure. Like they at least think they can go for it. They're in 100% just like the hardest division in football though. Like that's
Yeah,
the only problem any of those four teams have is like who are you picking last? I mean, probably the Bears. Like let's be honest, if you want to like it should be the Bears in last place, but then again, they could turn it around a ton. It's hard to be like, oh, definitively this team will make the playoffs and this team will be last place. There's a compelling story for any of the four, which is wild.
yeah, but an elite pass rusher was kind of like one of the things they were missing, and I
Mhm.
love that move for them because they never get free agents. They
Uh,
unless they draft a stud, which for
mhm.
some reason they never can acquire like an elite caliber pass rusher. Um,
What I do like about your
I love
team
that for
real
them.
quick is I do think in Hampton and Henderson, I think next year they're going to be early of the second round picks
The
in
volume I
the
think is
snake
locked
draft.
in.
So to have that on your team at not those prices is what I think is very good. Like, someone could look at Hampton and be like, oh, 37, that's a lot. Not for what he's going to be next year. Like not for what he can be in this offense. And yeah, like you can make all the criticism you want of the Chargers running game. If you want to say like, oh, they don't throw to the running backs a lot, or Rashawn Slater's out, he's still really good. Like he was the clear like it goes astringenti, but then like I felt Hampton was like right there, and Henderson too. Like they were of a stacked running back class. In my mind, they were the definitive top three of
Yeah,
like, whoa, these guys are really good. And running back is the one position where you can come into the NFL and just make an immediate impact.
absolutely. Plus, like Harbaugh and Greg Roman, if Hampton averages 25 carries a game this year. You wouldn't be surprised. And
Hmm.
like he also has the type of play calling where he could literally score 20 touchdowns.
Hmm.
So
Oh, 100%.
from a
Yeah.
floor standpoint, I really trust him. I'm kind of worried that some of the like elite upside is just not going to be there because the Chargers are, I don't know, they're starting to worry me just a little bit, but maybe I'm just concerned
Hmm.
for, we're always fucking cursed.
No, I
But
know.
just having the
We'll
depth
see.
behind Bijan as well. I also didn't spend the highest price on running back with Bijan. I mean, only $1 less than Saquon and Gibbs, like whatever.
Are you
But
nervous about the tackle injury
no,
they had at all? Yeah.
I don't care. Like
Some
with
people are really overreacting to it, in my opinion, and I don't think it's that
it's
big of a
it's
deal, but
relevant, but the right tackle going down is kind of more of a big deal for Penix being
yeah,
a lefty.
yeah, that's what yeah.
And one reason why I fully trust Bijan is his role in the passing game. Like other than London, who the fuck do they have? Like Mooney might not play half the year if the shoulder injury really is a problem. He probably is
Hmm.
fine, but like, no one trusts Kyle Pitts. So Bijan's going to catch 80 receptions most likely, at least 80 targets.
You
And
get one more Kyle Pitts slander, and then I'm leaving. That was your one. You one more Kyle Pitts
okay,
slander.
I'll save it for when we get to the roster he's on. But like this offense is just going to be so reliant on him. And I think last year, like what we
Hmm.
saw from Saquon, like having that top 5 running back really elevates your team when you use him
Hmm.
properly. The commitment towards Bijan is going to be so secure.
Yep.
I'm so happy to have him with 2 elite rookie upside picks. Like
Hmm.
I I thought Henderson could have been a first round pick. Honestly, I wanted him for the Chargers, and then we got Hampton to fall into their laps. I was like, okay,
Hmm.
that's
Yeah,
good too. But
100%.
yeah, I trust the running backs, and then having Kittle is just like chef's kiss, like such a cherry on top.
Hmm.
He might fall off on some games, but with all the receiver problems that they have, like he's going to be their top target and he's going to crack 25 points like at least 4 times this season. Like I'm
Well, the
going to get
big thing
elite
with
production from
Kittle,
Kittle.
like odds are you're probably not getting the target shares that like Bowers or McBride get.
No.
But what you do get with Kittle is what you want from tight ends, which is like the red zone usage and the
Yeah,
touchdowns. Like that's the thing with tight end where it's like if they're scoring touchdowns, like you don't need all those
you
catches.
don't. It covers all the bases and it's really what moves the needle at that position way more. That's why I personally rank Kittle above Trey McBride because
Hmm.
you can't convince me McBride is going to go from 2 receiving touchdowns to 10 plus. Like you can be hopeful, but with Kyler at quarterback, I don't
Hmm.
trust it. With Kittle, given their receiver depth concerns right now, I think 10 is like the floor. As long as
Hmm.
Kittle stays healthy, if he scores less than 8 touchdowns, I'd be fucking shocked.
Yeah.
So I feel really safe with that. And then quarterback, I think May is super valuable. Herbert has such a high floor. I love that combo, and I'm glad that you nominated both players, and I just outbid you
Hmm.
for them because I had the the budget to do that.
Yeah.
You texted me on
No,
both of those picks,
I
like
I
you were
was
so
well.
fucking mad.
I was really mad. I didn't, I like tacitly wanted Herbert. Like when I nominated him, I didn't plan on getting it. It was what angered me was that it got down to like 3 seconds and then you did it where, I was like, yeah, Herbert, whatever. Thinking like with my real target being Drake May, who you also took. And then
My
you just
boy.
like didn't let me do it. And in my mind, I was like, I knew I wanted to save $1 for Bashal Tutin like so, because when someone nominated him, I wanted to at least throw that second dollar on there. So yeah, thanks for that.
You're welcome, man. I'm glad I could spoil it. That's the price of going Rashi early on.
Like I'd much rather have your two quarterbacks than mine. Like you know what I mean? Like
Oh, for sure.
if you're going cheap quarterback, which I don't know if you feel this way. It seems like you do. This is more of a larger auction draft commentary. I think from a game theory standpoint, it makes way more sense to do the cheap quarterback approach than the elite because if you think about like what does a $2 or $1 running back look like? Like maybe there's an
Yeah.
upside case for them, but it's usually an injury. And like a $1 or $2 receiver, kind of same thing, but you're not putting them in your lineup. You're like terrified to trust them at least in the beginning. But a $1, $2 quarterback could easily get you 60% of what the elites can do. So it's just like that dollar at that position could do so much more for you. So you might as well do that.
Yeah, in general, my strategy on quarterback is if I'm not getting the top four, like, Allen, Lamar, Daniels, or Hurts, then I want to be one of the last people to draft
Hmm.
quarterback, depending on, the price. Once we hit like round 10 value, give me my
Hmm.
preference. But overall, I spent $4 on May, two on Herbert, six for that combo feels really
Hmm.
valuable. And especially given I spent up on an elite tight end, even though I got Kittle at kind of a discount, $20 on Kittle feels really good. That
Yep.
that shakes out to the 43rd overall value. $20 is mid round four, and that feels great on Kittle. So knowing I'd overspent a little bit on the tight end position. Like generally, I'm kind of fading tight ends.
Hmm.
To have a higher end option, like I was definitely putting myself in the position like, no, I can't afford an elite quarterback. I need the
Hmm.
values where I can get him. So $2 on
Yep.
Herbert, I'm very happy with that. I think his floor is like guaranteed top 15 every week, but he has that top six upside.
Hmm.
And the rushing value, I think, is underrated. And then May, I view as like the steal of this year. Like, if there's a dark horse to finish top five at the position that we're not expecting, personally, I think it's Drake May. Love his
Yep.
schedule, the rushing value super high. And then I also have the
Hmm.
May Travion stack. I think that's actually kind of underrated.
Hmm.
I got Ray
100%.
Davis on my bench, my boy.
Hmm.
That's just for good vibes. We'll see if he contributes. If he does,
100%.
then that's just excellent. And then with Ty
Tyjae
J on
Spears with
IR,
his one ACL or whatever it is, he
high
just
ankle sprain. But the high ankle
no,
sprain
but
happened
he
like almost
only
6 weeks
has
ago.
one ACL,
Oh,
like
really?
biologically. Like that's the whole thing
Huh?
with him, where everyone's like, "Oh, he's always hurt." It's like, yeah, he only has one ACL. Like,
I didn't know that. I know he's been kind of injury prone in his like college career, but
yeah,
I don't
again,
trust
because he
Pollard
only
to stay
has one
healthy.
ACL.
Good to know. Maybe honestly, if I need the IR slot and I have to cut Tajay, like I'm okay with that. Like I just took him because I thought later in the year I think his stash potential is super high, but having the extra roster spot is really like why I wanted Tajay the most, just to put him on IR
Mhm.
and have that flexibility. But we'll see what happens with the Eagles and Packers defense. I'll probably rotate between them. They should finish top 10. And then
Yep,
Jake Elliott, I think, is a good kicker to
solid.
have.
Yeah, very solid.
So a lot hinges on Igbuka and Adams, but otherwise my starting roster is amazing. I just can't pretend like there aren't holes on my roster at receiver, most notably.
Hmm.
Okay, let's move on to Johnny Football. Johnny Football's team.
Hmm. Yep.
Whoops, I pulled up yours.
Yeah, I remember liking his team a ton. I mean, I'm a big RJ Harvey fan. I was planning on getting Harvey before the Bucky Irving pick, but once I
Yeah,
took Bucky Irving, I was like, all right, Harvey's off the board for me here. But I don't know. I think he could do very well. Same with Pickens. I think Pickens is just kind of mispriced in general, even at 17. I think
yeah,
there's a
that's a good
strong
price
chance
on
he
Pickens.
like I think he and T Higgins like it's hard for me to be like, oh, there's that much of a delta in value between him and T Higgins.
And
So whether
imagine
that's a
if
critique
Lamb
on
goes
Higgins
down.
being too expensive or he's not expensive enough, however you want to dice that.
No, I think Jonathan's team has some of the best depth in the entire
Hmm.
league. Like the overall strategy, he texted me afterwards, like he wanted a few elite guys, but then he wanted to like save his budget for like the sweet spot in value. And
Hmm.
overall, he wound up with a ton of like fifth and fourth round picks. Like he is loaded at receiver. I think his bench is probably one of the best with Drake London, Jerry Judy, and Marvin Harrison, plus Olave, Pickens, and Odunze on the bench. Like every
Hmm.
week, you have three guys you feel really confident betting on. It's just as long as you make the right call, that's kind of the only
Yeah.
thing. But then his running back depth is also really solid with JCM on the bench. Harvey, at some point, Dobbins probably gets hurt. Like Harvey has elite
Hmm.
upside. Love Bo Nix as a quarterback, and
Hmm.
then the potential of Caleb Johnson and Trey Benson, if they are the guy, is pretty
Hmm.
phenomenal. And then his like overall Denver stack is pretty dope. Like I love the Ingram value as well.
I've been liking him a lot more since that one. I mean, granted, it was the preseason, but that one catch and run he had, he looked really good. So I do
Mm-hmm.
think they have a solid role in place for him. The only real solid depth, I agree with you. Why I don't like doing this strategy is the first day of waivers, it's like, who are you going to cut? Like, if there's a clear
Fair.
pickup, Like clear, we need this. Like you should go get this guy. He's worth it. He's really showing out. Like let's say like if there's an injury, what have you, you're kind of sitting there like, man, who do I drop? Like I guess the answer would be Trey Benson, but like you clearly took him for a reason. So as long as he knows this is who I'm dropping or I'm willing to move off this person, then you're fine.
Yeah. Judy and Olave, I think, could get tricky where if he trusts
Mhm.
him, like I think I'd rather be starting Pickens and Odunze a bit more often than Judy and Olave. But I'm
Yep.
kind of a hater on those two players. I think they're less valuable than most people do. So that's just my
The,
personal bias. But
the one I
I
like
love
more is
London on this team.
Olave, I would say. And that's only because like I do like everything Kellen Moore has said. Like there's that report where like in practice he showed them basically the Indiana Pacers playing and like they play at such a fast pace. And he's like, this is how we're gonna play football. Is just like so fast paced. And I feel like listen, he this is his first shot at being a head coach, probably his only shot at being a head coach. That's usually how it goes. So
Most likely.
he doesn't want to blow that. And if you're on that Saints team, it's like, okay, Olave is clearly our best weapon. Like he just is. So we got to get him the ball a lot. So it's probably going to be a ton of garbage time, dink and dunks. So like he might get there on just like catches, especially late in the game. Touchdowns are probably going to be hard to come by, but that's just the story of his career.
Yeah, volume's not the problem. It's just quarterback play and touchdowns. But with London, I feel like
Hmm.
you're so solid, and then with like the depth pieces, like once Pickens and Odunze are like reliable starts, then I think this team is really set up for success.
So
Um,
on London, I don't see any difference between like him and Malik Neighbors. If you look at those two, it's just like
Maybe a little difference, but if you
not
told me
really.
he
Like
outscored him, I wouldn't
I think he could
be
like
surprised.
if Neighbors isn't the target leader this year, it would probably be Drake London. You know what I mean? It's like you're on an offense where you're going to probably get over targeted. There are questions about the quarterback, questions kind of about the team in general, like how good are they really going to be? Um,
London could be a stud.
yeah, like he has every ability to end as like a top five wide receiver. Like
Absolutely.
pedigree, what he's done thus far, if Penix does just kind of hyper fixate on him and is just average, then yeah, I could easily see him beating someone like Neighbors.
Yeah, as long as Taylor stays healthy on this team, I think this is most likely a playoff team. I'd be worried to go up against it. Plus Aubrey is the kicker. Seahawks defense
Mhm.
are pretty legit. Yeah, this is a scary team. It's hyper balanced, and I would argue it's the best bench in the league. So really
And
good
I'm not
depth.
really a Marv believer. I kind of haven't been.
Me
That's a
neither.
good price for him though. So it's you know what I mean? It's
How much did he
hard
get for
to
Marv?
20.
20. Okay, same as Kittle, Garrett Wilson. Round
So
four
that's
is fair.
fine.
Yeah, round four is a good
It's
price.
fair. I'm just not the biggest, and that's also probably because I'm not as high on Kyler Murray in general as like a passer. So I'm just a little like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I
he
don't
was
know.
a bust last year, but he should be fine from like a floor standpoint.
Mhm.
Good good overall
Oh
depth
yeah.
value on this team. So that was Johnny Football's team. Let's move on to Pirate Ghost, Jared Stanishek's team. I think he's got really balanced roster here.
Yeah, he's got a lot of players I really like. I like Chase Brown was someone I was really interested in the pre-draft process just because I thought he'd go for less money. That's about like I was willing to pay 40. I had him penciled in for like hopefully 39, but I'd be willing to go to 40, so like just out of my range. But I don't know. Like they've made a lot of comments in the off season that he's just like one of their best players. A lot of
Absolutely.
commentary about like you got to get him the ball more. And then I know we were all kind of nervous, like yeah, but Zach Moss is there. They cut his ass.
Yeah.
So they've just really shown. Yeah, and I don't really think the Samaje P. Ryan thing's going to impact him a ton,
No.
especially because like Joe Burrow has one of the highest first and second down check down rates. So like he throws to the running backs on first and second down. So even if P. Ryan's out there for pass plays, he's still going to get targets. He's still going to be in line for the red zone in a team that I think is just going to live there a lot.
If this was a full PPR league, Chase Brown for $42 would have been
Mhm.
possibly the steal of the draft. Chase Brown's probably going to catch at least 5 receptions a game this season. He's like the new Austin Eckler. That's kind of
Mhm.
how I view him. So a
I
really
get
good
that.
price on him. But there's no depth behind him. So as long as he stays healthy, he's locked into top 10 production. I love Chase Brown as the stud tight end running back
I
here.
don't like Hubbard this year, but that's just kind of me.
I'm a little worried about Rico, but the floor should be fine with
And
Chuba,
Trevor Etienne. Like to be
I guess.
the Trevor Etienne thing,
I'm not
they
that
took
worried about
him
it.
ahead of like other really good running backs in the draft class. Like he kind of gets overlooked a little bit, but they took him earlier than people thought they should. So that kind of makes me think they at least have an idea for him, maybe like packages they want to use him for. So if suddenly Chuba Hubbard goes from like this workhorse to someone who cedes some touches to Rico Dowdle and then also some limited touches to Trevor Etienne. It's like, okay, you were kind of like it's not because we thought the offense was great. Like Chase Brown, he's going to be an amazing offense, even if he loses some points. You're kind of still going to make it up with the red zone trips. I don't think the Panthers are like they might be better this year. I don't think they're going to be an above average team in terms of offensive scoring. And he might not have that workhorse role he had before. So that's where I get worried about Chuba.
ETN doesn't scare me that much. Maybe you're more accurate on that than I am, but I do worry about his pass catching volume coming down. Like, I don't think Dowdle's going to be irrelevant, but I would still expect about 20 plus touches a game for Chuba. They gave him a big contract extension last year. I think he's a safe play, but I mean, other than last season when he broke out, it's not like we viewed him as a really good player. So there's a chance he does fall off quite a bit. I'm not that worried about it. I like Pollard in the starting lineup as well. I also love Braylon Allen and Ollie Gordon on the bench. And then if he gets anything from Quinshon Judkins, that'd be great. But, it wouldn't shock me if by week 5 he's cutting Quinshon because Judkins just never even steps on the field. The fact he hasn't signed his contract is just such a major red flag. But I think
Yep.
he has good enough depth where it's like a luxury pick that if you wanted to get rid of, it's not that big of a deal.
Yep.
Any team with Hurts is always going to be competitive. He's got Lamb, Ridley, and then Golden on the bench, I think, is super
That could
valuable.
be good.
I regret not bidding one more dollar on Golden and just
Mm,
maxing out my budget because odds are I would have gotten outbid, but to at least make him bid more than
mm.
my max. I was at an $11 max bid when Golden was there. He goes for 10, and I was just like, I want to save just a little bit
Yep.
because being stuck with only $1 when like you need good receivers like I did, like I knew I wanted
Yeah.
to get Jaden Higgins, and being able to drop $2 just to secure it was like key for me. So I regret giving him Golden, but odds are he
Mhm.
would have outbid me one more time. But Braylon Allen really good. Mooney, if he's healthy, is also like a super sneaky play. I think this team
Yeah.
has like elite potential. And then Kraft, I also think is valuable. The Patriots defense, I think, is also their schedule's so easy.
Yeah,
They're
no,
gonna
it's
be
pretty
good.
solid. Like I love Kraft this year. I think he could take a big step forward, especially if
Yeah.
Golden doesn't work out, or Golden could even work out, but you have Reed injured. We know what Daubs is at this point, and we even kind of know what Reed is. Like
Mm-hmm.
they at least view him as like this gadgety kind of player. And Kraft was good for them last year, and as we now know, they're fucking going for it. Like this is a team
Yeah.
that wants to get like the best playoff seeding they possibly can because they think they're going to win the Super Bowl or at least can compete. So they're going to have to score. And like a lot is going to be put on Jordan Love's plate this year as kind of like a hey, look, like we're setting you up for success. So I think Kraft could be a big part of that. I love Pollard this year, especially with the Spears injury, and he just keeps getting hurt. And like Pollard was pretty good last year. He was better
He
than he probably
was.
could have been. They are going to have a much more improved offensive line. And then there's the wild card of like, what if Cam Ward is like good? What if
Mm-hmm.
he's an actual above like average to above average quarterback? Then that's just going to help out Tony Pollard a ton.
Yeah, I mean, I have Tajay and Ayamanor. He's got the two starters above him,
Mhm.
so he's betting on like week 1 production,
Mhm.
and I totally believe in the upside as well. I think their
Mhm.
defense also kind of sucks, so they're going to
Yeah.
be in catch up mode. There's going to be a lot of pass attempts, and if Tajay stays banged up, then Pollard could be a top 20 value at the position. So
Mhm.
really good team. The $2 Tucker Craft really just cements the starting roster as like there's
Mhm.
no holes. I think this is a sneaky like top 2 seed.
100%. And like to be fair, I think that's the best value on the elite quarterbacks because I do consider Jalen Hurts way closer to the top three than I do the fifth quarterback, if
Yeah,
that makes sense. Like he's
21 for Hertz is pretty good.
especially compared to I think like high 20s for Jaden and 30s for the other two. I'd much if I knew
Yeah.
that going into the draft of this is what it's going to be, I'd pick the Hertz value every time.
Yeah, very valuable asset to have. I also think the next highest priced quarterback was Joe Burrow for 15. Th-
I'd still
I,
take Hertz. Yeah.
yeah, I think a $6 price gap is
Mhm.
much more in Hertz' favor. So mid fourth round came out to be like the price tag on Hertz. I got Kittle for $1 less, and usually Hertz is like, not far off from Kittle. So love
Like the hindsight
love the
regret I
strategy.
had after the Bucky pick, and I'm excited about the Bucky pick, but I was like, damn, I could have gotten Hertz and Henderson for like about the same, if not like a little cheaper.
That's
So
yeah.
that's where I went, where I was like, man, that would have been good. Like
You,
that would have been really, really
you
good.
never know what's gonna happen later on. I don't
Mhm.
I don't blame you for getting Bucky. Bucky could be top four.
Oh no,
Bucky's
for sure.
super
Like I
super
love
strong.
it's not a knock on Bucky. It's more that when you look at like how things played out,
Yeah,
you're like, oh, that allocation of funds, I think I like more. I think I do like Henderson Hurts over like Lawrence Bucky
yeah.
is what I mean.
If Braylon Allen ever like supplants Brees or Hall just gets hurt, then that could
Yeah.
be an elite stash at running back. I wanted Braylon, but
Yeah.
he outbid me on both him and Golden. Like I love the bench on this team. The bench is fucking
Hmm.
clutch. I don't know if you need Goff, but to have him, why not?
Sure.
But yeah, there's no holes on this roster I can really think of.
This league, I find myself, I think it's because we have six bench spots. I find myself holding a second quarterback pretty often, even when I have an elite one,
Mm-hmm.
just because I notice everyone else kind of does, and you don't want to fall behind that eight ball
the
kind of.
the waiver wire, if you need to rely on it at quarterback, can be very tricky. Like quarterback should be more competitive, like it kind of should be
Mhm.
this way.
Oh, yeah.
But
Because when there are five bench spots, I find I don't want to hold a second quarterback just because then you're really missing out on some good position players.
and even like a second tight end feels like so
Mm,
unnecessary. It's not the
yeah.
worst thing in the world, but you have to be like streaming the position already to have Kraft.
Mhm.
I think he went off for $2, like I mentioned. Yeah, $2 on Kraft. That's a
Mhm.
really nice price point.
Oh, yeah.
So good job, Pirate Ghost. Love the team, Jared. And then we can move on to Jason's team, Go Bongzilla. The approach that Bongzilla had was like get two elite studs. He kind of overspent a little bit, at least on Nico.
Mhm.
Like $60 on Nico
Yep.
feels that's the second highest price overall.
And so
That's
that was what we mentioned before, where he was the definitive end of like the elite wide receivers. And there
yeah.
were several people who didn't have one. So
Uh-huh.
I knew that was going to happen. Like after Neighbors went for like mid 50s, I was like, all right, Nico's going to go for like north of that at least. And yeah, he did get up to 60.
Yeah. At least you have him. Like if you told
Yep,
me Nico
he's good.
crushed, like I had him last year and he was phenomenal when healthy. I'm just a little worried
Mhm.
about his injury risk. And then the same applies with CMC. Last year was
Mhm.
brutal with CMC, but if they
That's
both stay
more than I
healthy,
thought he'd go for. I was wondering, I had no interest in CMC.
he went for 53. That's
I
the
I
ninth overall pick.
I thought if he
That's
went in
not
the
bad.
40, yeah, but I don't know. I was like, if he goes in the 40s, I'll consider it. I'm just like, because the problem is, like when he's on the field, he's really good, but then it's like, is he going to hold up for all 17 games? That's where I'm just a little like, I have no idea,
Well,
man.
where I think he like answered any of those question marks, he also got Brian Robinson Jr.
Hmm.
Like he's locked
Yeah,
into the RB1 in San Francisco. That's a recipe for success. I think the
oh,
approach
for
he
sure.
took is the right path. And if you told me I was in a snake draft and I was at 9 and McCaffrey was there, I'd feel
Yeah,
compelled to take him. So I think he did it the right way. Just the Nico price is a little expensive. Um,
I would probably still take Brian Thomas. My hot take this year is next year, Brian Thomas is the second wide receiver drafted
I
behind
I don't
McCaffrey.
hate that call. I don't
Uh,
hate it.
And I
Nico,
think he's basically so like I know Neighbors dominated Brian Thomas in college, but Chase kind of dominated Jefferson in college, and now we all kind of think it goes Jefferson Chase in terms of NFL.
that's an argument that you could
So
you could be on the other side of. Like at least
yeah,
at least in terms of fantasy, we took Jamar above
yeah.
Jefferson, but it's just because of the quarterback situation.
So yeah, again, I feel I
Straight
would
up
probably
talent.
lean
I'd probably
Brian Thomas, but Just because like my this is more of a bigger fantasy take. I think it's hard to win your league in the first round, but you can lose it. Like there are
Yes.
multiple ways to win in the first round, but you could just throw it all away with a terrible pick or like an injury pick, something like that. So
However, despite like really spending big on first round picks, I feel like
he
he
filled out.
filled out the roster really, really well. Like tight end is
Mhm.
shaky with Kincaid, but streaming the position is a very viable strategy. I don't hate that at all.
Sure.
Evans for less than Igbuka, that feels like such
Yeah.
a wise investment. And then you got Pearsall for like $12.
hmm
That could be the steal. Stacked up with Purdy, that's also another top 10 quarterback.
It
Um,
depends on how things are. Like I do think Jennings is going to come back eventually, and I do think eventually Ayuk comes back. So it's what is Pearsall going to look like once everybody's back? So that and he could still have a really good role.
But he's
That's
a
just where I'm
first
a little
round
like,
pick. Like I would trust
yeah,
him, man. I'm not worried. You get the Broncos defense. Granted, he overspent on the Broncos defense. Like I looked at all the
that was
price
wild.
points.
Yeah,
The
that was
Broncos
wild.
defense went for $9. That is a seventh round
Yeah,
pick on the Broncos defense. That's egregious. Like
that's
as good
wild.
as they are,
Sorry.
that was a mistake.
That's more a structural thing. I
Yeah.
don't believe in paying certainly more than $3 for a defense. I will figure it out as like having a defense like that for me is really only important in the playoffs when but like up
Yeah.
until then I'm just gonna figure it out and stream it because like it's probably gonna shift a little bit and then you want to play the matchups of like hey who do I think could get pick sixes this week
He
or
also has the Vikings on the bench, so he's planning to mix it up.
yeah
But yeah, that I think is the only like major criticism I have because you got Brees at I believe a pretty good value. Where did Brees Hall go? $26. That's running back 19 in like the early fourth round, less than Chuba Hubbard, less than James Conner, less than Alvin Kamara. I wouldn't rather have those guys than Brees. Like I'm
yeah
worried about Braylon Allen and the touch split in the Jets offense, but still Brees has that like elite
oh
caliber
yeah.
upside. I think that was a really good price on Brees Hall.
For sure. And listen, I'm a Jalen Warren. Like I think the stabs on Jalen Warren and J.K. Dobbins are good to take because
Yeah,
there's
paired with the
every
B Rob.
opportunity. Yeah, like they're the less sexy options in their backfield, but like they're also the veterans.
Uh
Like
huh.
we've seen rookies just kind of fizzle out and not really gain trust. All it takes is them like having one fumble in a key moment, and all of a sudden the coaches are like, "Yeah, we're putting the veteran in." Like this is insane.
No, I think that's really good. Like bench stashes. Like Warren, from a floor standpoint, is going to be like a weekly 10-point option. If he can score touchdowns, then you're in great
Yep.
shape. Last year, that was his only problem. And then Dobbins, he'll probably score some reliable touchdowns. It's just like when will Harvey overtake him and
Mhm.
when will Dobbins get hurt? But in terms of like upside swing with Dobbins and then floor play with Warren, that's really, really nice depth. And then the B Rob handcuff is super clutch. I
And
love
we,
the breakout potential of Coleman.
yeah,
Leggett, now that Thielen's gone, also kind of interesting.
yeah.
Other than Kincaid, I can't really find a hole on the roster.
For sure. And we talk a lot about like contingent upside usually in terms of the younger backs where it's like, oh, if so and so gets hurt, they're gonna go off. Like Dobbins still has that as well. Like Harvey has every
Yeah,
ability to get hurt, and then all of a sudden he's in this workhorse role because I don't believe in Estime or McLaughlin at all.
right.
Same with Warren,
No,
he can be
Dobbins
the
was
best
so good
spot.
last year. I mean, we're Charger fans. We know he was really productive. Just
I think
health
Leggett will be
concerns.
on waivers by week 3, but that's just me.
Unless the Panthers passing game looks like really valuable.
I think
But
Coker's probably like I'm a
that's
cokehead,
not a
so.
terrible. Yeah, it's not the worst bet to make. Yeah, no, I think given the like strategy of spending a combined 113, like that's 55% of the budget on Christian McCaffrey and Nico Collins. To tell me this is the rest of the roster, I think he made out in like amazing shape.
I think so too. Yeah, it's really easy to mess that up as someone who's done that before, where you spend big on some big players and then your depth is just atrocious. But no, he filled it out well.
Good team. Let's hope Purdy stays healthy because the quarterback market. I thought that Jordan Love made it to the waivers, but no, he ended up getting picked with like I think one of the last
It's kind of
autos.
just like a big San Francisco ship, like across the board. It's how do you think San Francisco is going to do
Mm-hmm.
this?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're hoping that Purdy stays healthy. Like just every player on there, structurally, you're like, I hope San Francisco's better than expected this year.
So it should be good.
Mm.
Um, so moving on to Ethan's team, Sun God Squad. I
Was this an auto pick taking Higgins and Chase? I can't remember because
No, well,
that's
no, he was on auto for the very first like minute
okay.
of the draft, and he did spend 66 on Jamar Chase, which is egregiously expensive compared to like the 101 was Jamar at 66, and then we had three players at 60, Saquon, Gibbs, and Nico, and then I took
Mhm.
Bijan for 59, but 66 is like overwhelmingly
Yeah.
um you know
For
the
someone who's gonna get you like several games with 3 catches for 50 yards, like that, because Chase does that. Now, granted,
there's a few
Chase
times
also
when he
has.
disappears, but not
There are a
like
few games where he disappears, but then there
badly.
are also the games where he gets 50 points. So it balances out, but
Yeah.
that's what I mean. Like you're gonna have those weeks where Chase just really doesn't do much. And I guess the argument then is
There'll be
Higgins
very
going
few of
off.
them though.
Yeah.
But the combo of Chase and Higgins without Burrow is kind of interesting. Like
I just hate taking two elite players from the same offense, mostly just because then
I can tolerate it.
theoretically every touchdown that goes to Chase is one that's not going to Higgins. So you're sitting there like, oh, cool, Jamar Chase is at 20, but T. Higgins is at 5.
But like
Okay.
of all teams to do it with, like the Bengals are so top heavy. I think
Yeah.
that's fine. Like last year, Chase was the wide receiver one, and Higgins in points per game was tied with Justin Jefferson for top five. Like
For me,
it's
T.
not.
Higgins too. Though, like T. Higgins, Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle. The way I play fantasy is when they have a high touchdown and efficiency season, they're going to go in the second round, and then you don't take them. When they have a low touchdown efficiency season, they're going to go in the fifth round, and that's when you take them. And that's just kind of how I like to play those three, where it's like you buy the dip, but then when they get priced up to their ceiling, you just kind of ignore it, and you'll probably make out fine. But that's just a
That's your strategy.
no, yeah, that's he could earn it. Believe me, like he's really good.
T Higgins actually went for $31. That was around three price tag
Hmm.
in
That's not bad.
context. So not bad. But T Higgins deals a lot of leg injuries and like hamstring strains. He's going to miss time. And
And he did
beyond
get
that,
Devonta Smith, so he's kind of having it both ways.
yeah, he's got the upside swing with Devontae. What how much did Devontae go for? I believe
10,
Devontae
which is
was
a really good
damn $10
price.
for Devontae. That's round six.
Yeah, that's a
Shit.
really good
We fucked
price.
up on that.
Yeah.
But receiver kind of in general, if you weren't getting like a top 12 option, they were all really inexpensive. So
Yep.
that's a really good flex piece. I hate the bench on this team. That's what happens when you have to log off for time reasons and you end up on auto. Like he has Ramondre, that's pretty much irrelevant. Shaheed, good luck with that. I mean, high upside, but when do you know to start him? He's like Gabe Davis, like 15 or a
Yeah.
bagel. Good luck. Jordan Love, I do think is a valuable option for
Mhm.
$1. I actually
Oh
like
yeah,
that pick a
for sure.
lot. Goddard as the backup tight end is okay, but with Laporta, like when are you starting him? And then he has Thielen and Tillman. I wouldn't be shocked if like by week 3 they're on the waiver wire.
For
But
sure.
maybe they are pretty valuable as like the starting number 2 receivers in their offenses to start. Like with Addison suspended, Thielen could have some good value beginning of the season, and maybe Tillman is actually more valuable than Judy. It's possible, but
And I
unlikely.
do think he got a bit of a discount on Daniels because I view him, Lamar, and Josh as like kind of the
A
same. So
little
you
bit,
got them a
yeah.
little bit cheaper.
Ten
I
bucks
love
less than
Daniels.
Lamar.
Yeah. Like I think that's way better value. I also love Daniels' playoff schedule. Like it could be like three really
Mm-hmm.
solid shootouts.
Yeah, that
So yeah.
Cowboys game week 17. That should be dope.
Yeah.
Where I don't like this team is the running back depth. The bench only has
Yeah.
Ramondre. That's the third running back on this roster. And then the two starters are Connor and Aaron Jones, like two 30-year-olds.
Hmm.
If they stay healthy, then you have last year two top 20 running backs, but are we really expecting that to happen? I doubt it. I think he's going to have to make a
Yeah.
trade or really hound the waiver wire for running back values. That I think
Yep.
is the big problem on this team. Otherwise, I think it's pretty solid. Like
Or you
Jamar,
might
T.
want to
Higgins,
eventually
Laporta.
take like T. Higgins and try to shop him for like a running back or something like that. Like
Yeah.
if that eventually gets to be kind of conflicting.
Or you could just get a fucking haul for Jamar Chase, you know?
Well, because like
Um,
if you got rid of T, then Devonta's your wide receiver too, and I don't hate that at all, is the thing. Like you kind of
the bench is
improve.
just really thin where like if you take anyone
Yeah.
out of the starting roster, kind of risky, pretty
Yep.
shaky. But yeah, that's just what happens when you go
Hmm.
on auto. That's karma making us sit through the full
Hmm.
timer in the back half of the draft.
Just brutal.
That was kind of annoying. But at least the top of the roster is pretty good. Just running
Yep.
back depth scares the shit out of me. Um, any other thoughts? Colts defense, Tyler Bass, like whatever.
I mean,
Not bad, but
I
eh.
could see where Laporta could be a good value this year. It's kind of like what I
He
said about
could.
Hurts, where I'm like, I do think he's closer to the top four than he is to like like everyone below him.
Hmm.
Like he was again, it's we talked about this a little bit. He was clearly hurt for the beginning part of the season, and
Right.
that's why you didn't see that production coming up. And then like the latter half. He's just getting, I don't think he got less than 6 targets a game or 5 targets, something
Yeah,
like
he was
that.
super consistent. My only worry is like without Ben Johnson, does that stay the same in terms of touchdown production? And then I'm also starting to actually think Isaac Tesla will be very involved. Like Tesla looked so good in the preseason, and like they invested a lot of just to draft him in the third round. Like they traded up for him with like a lot of draft capital actually. I'm
So to
worried that the
that
target
point,
share just isn't as narrow this year.
the Lions are pretty good. Like if you ever go to Coach Speak Index, the Lions are actually one of the more accurate teams where they tell you like that we're going to do this year, and like it kind of turns out to be true. Whereas you think of someone like Pete Carroll or like Shanahan,
Belichick.
where they're always lying, and you're
Yeah.
like you can't trust anything they say. Like anytime you ask, "What do you think of this player?" Oh, I love him. He's going to start, and then they're cut like 2 days later. The Lions are the opposite of that, where they're actually pretty reliable. And the new offensive coordinator, like the big drumbeat, the three drumbeat players he's been saying all offseason are Jahmyr Gibbs, JMO, and Sam Laporta, where he's like, these three guys, they're going to take a big step forward this year. We need them to be a part of our offense, and we're going to make an effort to get them the ball a ton. So if he's getting singled out by the new offensive coordinator, who was here last year, who has said, I plan on keeping a lot of the same stuff, just tweaking it a little bit. And my hope is that the way he tweaks it is he just like says, okay, who are my star players? I'm going to get them the ball as much as I can. So I'm still hopeful in that regard for Laporta.
He's definitely safe. He's not a bust candidate by any means, and he spent $9 on Laporta. That's valued at a seventh round pick as tight end six overall. That's like his floor. That should be totally fine.
Yep.
Just good luck with Aaron Jones and James Conner. That may turn ugly.
Yep.
Um, we can move on though to Eduardo Corocchio, Salisbury Suicide's team.
Hmm.
Um, he's
Listen,
got
like at the end of the day, like as nervous as I am about Saquon, he was really good. Like he was exceptionally good last year.
yeah
Like
to
to an
pretend
amazing
like
degree.
he's gonna fall off a cliff would be kind of crazy.
For sure. And like I do, like a lot of people bring up statistics where it's like every running back following the type of workload that he had has a decrease in efficiency the next year, decrease in fantasy points. I don't know if that like that just might not apply to him. Like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like when people talk about like LeBron James, right? Where they're like, "Oh, people at this age slow down." It's like this guy just he might be different. Like there are just some athletes out there where rules don't apply to them. He's really good. So he could still be like the number one overall running back, the number one overall fantasy player again,
It's
and it would
definitely possible. I wouldn't want to fade him too hard, but at the end of the day, he's got the Eagles O line. Like that's gonna cover so many areas of concern. But in terms of like this roster, I think the starting roster here is elite, and then the
Yep.
bench really scares me beyond Debo Samuel. Um,
Yeah, for sure.
like I wish there was
Debo
another
is
running
solid.
back on this team. Like the RB3 is Najee, and then there's no RB4. That's
Mhm.
risky as fuck.
Yeah,
But
very, very thin, especially with someone like Ken Walker. Who, listen, I was beat
a
pounding
little
the
bit,
drum for
yeah.
Ken Walker last season. I think he could be great this season. Like I think
If he
it's in the
stays
range of
healthy,
outcomes.
he's probably top 10.
If he stays healthy, then for the whole season, then next year he's a first round pick. Like it's in like I really believe that. Like I think the only thing stopping him from being a first round pick is the health. And
Yeah.
there's a way that his season runs out where he is so elite in this Kubiak run scheme because it's designed for him. Like I
Hmm.
think he has like he's like top two in like missed tackles forced or something like that.
No, when you watch his highlights, it's like
Yeah.
This guy is insane. He's
It's
so
just he keeps
talented.
getting hurt. He was hurt already with the foot injury. They keep saying it's not a big deal, but I'm like,
Mm,
like we're already starting here. Like, come on,
I
man.
would have been happy to have him. I think he's more valuable in full PPR. Like if you told me he averages like 6, 7 targets a game, I think that's very likely to happen, honestly. He's a
Yeah,
stud. He just needs to stay healthy. So I wish
yeah,
there was like if he had Charbonnet on the bench, I'd feel amazing about it. Even if he
yeah.
had like Shipley on the
Terrifying.
bench, I'd feel amazing about it. But the running back depth is very very hairy and
For sure.
a big concern. But the receiver depth is fucking amazing. Amon-Ra, Terry, and Sutton in the starting lineup. That's such a
Hmm.
high floor every week. And then Debo, I think, is super valuable. I don't
Hmm.
think you need Mims on this team. Like I would drop Mims for a handcuff running back
Yeah.
pretty quickly. Godwin maybe turns out well, but it's a bummer you can't put him on IR instantly because you know he's
You,
basically is on IR.
you
But
don't need two backup quarterbacks also. Like you
no,
don't need JJ and Bryce. I'd get rid of Bryce, but that's just me.
I would give it, week one to see who's actually like legit. Like I know he's a Vikings fan, so he probably holds on to McCarthy. But
Mhm.
Bryce Young actually had like top 12 value at the end of last season. I think it's fine to have three like today, but if you tell me you hold on to three like into week three, like that's not the move.
100%.
With Baker especially, like when are you starting them?
Exactly. Yeah, and that's why, see, that's why I'd hold on to someone like McCarthy, who I feel has a higher ceiling than
Yeah,
Bryce. Start like with the weapons that he has, with the coach that he has. Like if you
Darnold
tell
was
me,
top 10.
yeah, so that's why I'd pick McCarthy because it feels like you with like Baker's your floor play with upside, but he's for sure your floor play.
Hmm.
So then you might as well go for like the upside swing with what McCarthy could be.
I like Cam Little at kicker, but Lions defense kind of scares me. What I
Hmm.
do love though, he got TJ Hawkinson for a fucking steal.
Yeah, for sure.
$4 on Hawkinson. That's
That's
such a good
good.
price. That's like
Godwin's just gonna go to the waiver. Like he's probably already in the IR spot, so that's not a big deal. But I'm just like, I don't know what he's even gonna do this year. So,
yeah, I'm worried about it. I mean, I have to be worried about Godwin given my investment on Igbuka. I just have to be.
mhm. I mean, I
Um,
know they paid him, but it seems like more of a long-term thing versus like a
yeah.
kind of thing.
Kind of interesting that Godwin passed up on like a lot of guaranteed money to go to Tampa Bay again. Like the Patriots reportedly offered him like I think 4 years, like 66 mil guaranteed, and he like
Hmm.
took like almost like a 7 mil per year discount to stay in Tampa. Like that's kind of surprising, but
Is
I
that
guess
taxes? Like, does
oh
that come
yeah,
out with taxes?
probably
Maybe.
taxes and just like comfort level
Yeah.
staying where he's always been. Like also like to be recovering from that type of injury and have to travel and set up a whole new life, like maybe I get it, but a
Yeah.
lot of money to pass up to stay where you are. um
100%.
yeah, once he's on IR, I'd like to see what this bench looks like. Just needs some running back depth.
For sure. And like St. Brown, like he seems like a weird one to fade, but I'm also just kind of like the knee scope in the off season made me go like, whoa, that's kind of weird.
I thought he was much
Um,
more a second round pick this year than
mhm.
first round. Like obviously top of round two, and that is the price he
Yeah.
got him for. Like Amon Ra went for $46, and that's the 14th overall pick, wide receiver 8 off the board. But
Mhm.
London went $1 cheaper. I'd rather have London
I'd
than
rather have
Amon Ra.
London. Because you have to ask yourself, like they keep saying Gibbs is going to take a step forward this year, and JMO's going to take a step forward this year. It's like, who's that going to come at the expensive? And then,
Right.
like that's kind of where I'm at.
No, if he didn't score a shit ton of touchdowns last year, he actually did not pay off. He's a little more touchdown reliant than you would like for a first round pick.
And like the Lions in general, like this could be a really bad take, kind of like my Saquon take last year. How many like it has to take a mental toll on you as an organization to keep like being like this is our year and then falling flat in the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like that
Yeah,
has to just build up where you're like, man, like here we are again. And like they were so dominant last year. And then like losing their starting center. It just seems like there's a lot of things that could lead to them regressing as a
S-
team.
I think you make a very good point, and like subconsciously, I think it keeps them in like a desperate mode. Like the Lions have
Hmm.
been desperate for decades, and
Hmm.
like even though they've been so good the last 2 years. Like losing Ben Johnson, you have to be a little bit worried about it. Also losing Aaron Glenn, like you can't feel the same level of confidence and not like go to bed just like kind of questioning yourself a little bit.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I'm really worried about them is the over reliance on going for it on fourth down
Mhm.
and it just biting them in the ass. Like there's
For
so
sure.
much variance when you pass on the field goals, that many times and it doesn't hit. Like that's where I think they could miss the playoffs. And I don't like their schedule's super tough. And if they
Hmm.
just go, super risky, like they kind of always like Dan Campbell's nickname is Dan Gamble. The
Yeah.
house always wins. Gambling those fourth down calls that often could bite you. So
And like I don't know, we saw this kind of recently where like Philly went to the Super Bowl, lost to the Chiefs, and then lost both coordinators. That next season, they were bad. Like they
right.
imploded as an organization, kind of. And that's even what Jason Kelsey's talked about on his podcast a bit, where it was just like, yeah, at the coach to player level, it just kind of deteriorated, and it was such like an emotional drain, and then such a big change. I just think there's a lot of ways. Like again, it could be a bad take months from now when the Lions are in the playoffs and the number one seed in the NFC. But like, there's a lot of ways I feel that the season runs out where they're kind of bad and struggle.
I already picked the Packers to win the division, but it was like neck and neck between them and
Mhm.
Detroit. Now with Parsons, I think that pick is the wise move. The Packers
Mhm.
just feel so like safe and like
Mhm.
locked into high floor with that better defense now. I think that's the edge. I would expect if the Lions make the playoffs, it's not as the division leader. I think it's a wild card team, but
Mhm.
it's a very competitive NFC this year.
Yep.
I worry about them a little bit, but they're still going
Mhm.
to be great for fantasy. Their offense is still awesome. So
Mhm.
that's it on this team. Elite starting roster, bench very shaky. I wish there was more running back depth than Najee Harris.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
if everyone
I guess
stays
we could.
healthy, I would expect a playoff spot from this team.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
All right, let's move on to GOAT mode. We got 5 more teams, I believe.
Literally every player in his starting lineup, I'm like, I could see the upside case, but the floor is non-existent.
No,
You know what I mean?
there's a
Like
lot of risk in this team.
like Justin Jefferson, arguably the best wide receiver in football, could be the number one wide receiver in fantasy, could also finish like outside the top 10.
If JJ
You wouldn't,
sucks, yeah, it's
you know what I mean? Like
possible.
you wouldn't, or like they'd
I
have to lean
doubt
on the
it.
run. But like you could see it. Like we
It's
were like, yeah,
possible.
for sure. Like if McCarthy gets hurt or sucks, that could be bad. Um,
Tyreek Hill
they,
scares the shit out of me.
Tyreek Hill scares the shit out of me. Kyron, I don't like. I know he just got paid and everything, but like it's a greater Rams issue,
They keep
and
drafting running backs
they
like
keep drafting running backs. So I'm like, do you want this guy to have all this work? And he keeps like he's
plus
very
Adams
touchdown
is going to steal
dependent.
touchdowns.
So, like, again, you see the upside case where they just like crush
Mhm.
Kamara, same thing. You're like,
Last
could he
year
do
was
it?
fucking elite and then got hurt at the end of the season. He's 30 years old.
Yeah, Garrett Wilson led the league in targets last year. It didn't mean a fucking thing. Like, they were
No, he
still like,
didn't. He led the team. He led the league in targets.
I'm pretty sure he did. Like,
That
he was,
I
or at
have to
least
push
like,
back on that. Really? I don't think so, man.
or at least like top 10.
He was high up there, but once Adams joined the team, like it kind of fell off a little bit.
He was
Receiving
fourth in the
leader,
league.
fourth in the league in targets. Okay,
So, yes, a little bit
okay.
of hyperbole, but not a lot. You know what I mean? Like, he was fourth in the league in targets, and it didn't mean a fucking thing. Like, you were still like,
No, he
man.
he was tied with Jefferson for fourth. Correct. Yeah.
So like, yeah, you didn't. I mean, like he's definitely not going to be that this year. Like
Well,
he's not. They're
he
not
didn't
going to
turn it
throw
into
that
top
much.
20 production.
So that's the thing, right? Where
Yeah.
you're like, the same argument is, oh, who's going to take targets from him? I think there are just going to be less targets to go around overall.
Yeah. It's
I don't
Justin Fields
trust.
just runs the ball.
I don't trust Fields as a passer. Like
No.
I know DJ Moore had that one season with him in Chicago. I also feel like that was like that wasn't going to happen. Like there are ways that that didn't happen. Like you can't pencil that in, I guess is what I'm saying. Like that
Right.
DJ Moore high efficiency year. So I'm terrified of Garrett Wilson. Mahomes could be the number one quarterback. Like that's in the cards.
But
He
last
could
two
also
years,
just,
he's not not
but
been
he could
close to that.
also be the same thing.
Right.
Kelsey, you could pitch me on he has like a bounce back year. He's thinner and like
He's
maybe he
gonna
just
be 36 in a month,
maybe instead
bro.
of getting 3 touchdowns, he gets 10. But also like I don't know, like he could just not
No,
be good again, and you're kind of like this is a bad guy to roll out each week.
no, your assessment I think is very accurate. Like
Literally,
the
this team
upside
makes me so
case.
uncomfortable.
Yeah, man. The upside case of this team is like the one seed. Like literally a chance that this is like the juggernaut that beats
Literally,
everyone, and then there's
The
also
team
a
name, the team
floor of
name
like
for
two
this is like
wins.
obvious. Like the team name would be the word it's obvious. Because like it's either obvious to like the positive of like of course these are all smashes. Like it's the like you know who these people are. Like of course they all hit like the high. Or it's obvious where you're like, yeah, like of course they sucked. Like we knew this. Like we knew all these things could have happened.
A
So I
lot of
have
variance for sure.
yeah.
But he does
But he
have
has
Kyle
Kyle
Pitts.
Pitts though. He
You
has
know,
Kyle Pitts,
yeah,
so
he's
he's
got
fine.
Kyle Pitts, so everything is fine.
I actually like Rashad White as like a random grab. I really
Yeah.
do because I think like obviously you have the contingent upside of Bucky Irving getting hurt, but he's gonna be involved. Like he
Hmm.
wasn't like he was bad last year relative to his ADP, but for a dollar, it's like yeah, you can throw him in there
Oh
and
yeah,
hopefully he fills in on a bye week.
for a buck, that's a great bench stash. Absolutely love the Rashad White value. He's got
Hmm.
Ayuk on IR, so maybe a savior down the line. He's
Hmm.
got Dak and Stroud. I don't know if you need three quarterbacks. Like
No.
that's probably a little excessive. I'd expect Stroud to get cut pretty soon.
Hmm.
But then you do have the starting running back in Houston for now with Nick Chubb, but there's
Hmm.
reports that like his skill set has just like fallen off so
Yeah.
drastically. I think he'll like score touchdowns, but then like by week 6, he's just like a shell of himself.
It'll be
Um,
hard to trust him, like where you're
yeah.
actually putting him in your lineup with confidence.
And
So
then
I would
Juwan
rather,
Jennings,
yeah.
that's a gamble as well. Like if
But
he
for
starts
two
on IR, that
dollars,
would suck.
it's a decent gamble. Like I'd take that bet for $2. That was one where I was like, all right, I should have done that.
Yeah, that's actually a very good value for
He's
two
got
bucks.
Handmaid's Tale Harrison Bucker as his kicker, so that's
There
fun.
we go. Steelers defense, that's going to be solid. Yeah, it's just like the floor for every player he's relying on is possibly like one
You
of the
could tell me
biggest
this is the
busts in
number
fantasy.
one team and like it's not even close. You could also tell me this team is like 0 and 10. And
I don't
I'd
know
be
if
like,
that
yeah.
bad. I don't
No,
know
but
about
like
that
you know
bad.
what I mean? Like each player could just implode for different reasons where you're
Possibly.
just like, whoa, like yeah, Garrett Wilson's not like they're not scoring touchdowns. Like because I don't think he's gonna catch as many like I still think he'll probably get like 3 or 4 touchdowns on the year, so you're not gonna lean on that.
That
And
being said, though, in terms of ESPN's confidence level, the week 1 projection, he is overwhelmingly the highest scoring team projected for week 1. So,
that, but it's yeah, it like for sure. That's what I mean. You
yeah.
look at each player and you're like, yes, I see the win case. I see it clearly, like
Yeah.
it's undeniably there. But me looking at it, I'm like, whoa. I think with every player, you could just easily see how they underwhelm their ADP. Like clearly, Jefferson's not going to be like a top, like a out of the top 30, but like you could just be like, oh, huh, he. I would should have like I'd rather have Nico Collins. I'd rather have Brian Thomas. There's just a lot of receivers where you could be like, whoa, they outperformed him. And he also, I mean, he has the hamstring injury too. You could see like there's not a player on here where I could look at. I could make the bull case and the bear case, and the delta between the two is just a lot.
There's a lot of variance. I'll give you
Mhm.
that. Maybe a little too much pessimism from your side. Like I'd like to be optimistic, but no, I acknowledge the risk level here does feel very scary. Um,
Or they crush. Like no, but I'm not trying to be
yeah,
pessimistic. I'm saying no, this team, if you told me they went like 10 and 0 and like everyone was just hitting that ceiling, like
possible.
yeah, that's an immaculate team.
Yeah.
Like that's in the range. It's more just yeah, like there's a wide range of how each of these players can do.
Good luck, Oat Mode.
Hmm.
I hope you're at the top of our projection, not the bottom.
Hmm. Oh
Um,
yeah.
Chris Dawkins with Viva La Cheating. Um, this is loading. Um,
I've never drafted Derrick Henry once, and I literally would have been wrong. You'd be wrong every year. Like all the people who are in the fade Derrick Henry camp would just be wrong
right.
every year, which is funny.
It. I think this team has a, what did I break down? The bench depth pretty solid. Cup and Diggs long term risk, but I like
Hmm.
the Addison acquisition. I
Hmm.
think Addison could really pay off after his suspension is lifted,
Do
and
you care
then
about Thielen there?
not
I,
too much. I mean,
I'm not
it's
sure.
relevant. It's not great, but I think because of the Addison suspension and also the Jefferson hammy, I think that's why they brought him in for like
Hmm.
leadership, and like he
Yep.
knows the system. It's like he slots right in perfectly. He doesn't have to learn anything new.
Hmm.
You know, he knows them very well. Also, good for the fan base. I
Yep.
think that's more just like a floor acquisition than like a real threat to Addison
Yep.
once Addison's back on the field. But you
Hmm.
know, maybe a concern. I do really like the flyers at running back that he has. Like
Hmm.
Javante could be the guy, and if he's
Hmm.
not, then you at least know to cut him and move on quickly. Same with Ford. Like we don't know exactly what's going to happen in Cleveland, but if Ford just stays super relevant, like that's a high floor every week that keeps you viable. A
Yeah.
Chain scares me,
Yeah.
but like as long as he's healthy, he's a fucking stud.
Bigsby, Williams, Ford, all three of those by week 4, you'll know what to do with them, which is nice.
Yeah.
If
I,
it's just messy or if they also look bad, etc.
and you could have like the most valuable player in their backfield. So,
And like with A Chain, if he got 100 catches this year, I wouldn't be
absolutely.
surprised. Like if you tell me two is healthy for the whole year and he's healthy, it's like, yeah, he could lead the league in receptions for running backs and by a country mile. No one, even CMC, could not be near him in terms of volume.
I also think even if Tua gets hurt, he's the one player that maintains a lot of value with Zach Wilson. Like when
Hmm.
Brees Hall was popping off
Oh
2 years
yeah,
ago, that's
that's a
with
good
Zach
point.
Wilson. So
That's a really
it's
good
just a
point.
question of like A Chain being healthy. Like his soft tissue injury is why I panicked, but I didn't
Hmm.
really know where to rank him after that, and I just decided to kind of fade him and just avoid Miami because of that whole
Hmm.
scary proposition there. But
Hmm.
no, in terms of upside, if A Chain's the RB1, it's definitely in the cards.
Yep. Same with Henry could just like fall ass backwards into such a high touchdown season. You know, like
You know he will.
Lamar threw for so many touchdowns last year. That's not going to happen again.
Probably not.
So as long as Henry stays healthy, which I don't think that could ever happen where he gets hurt, it's just like he could he every game he could score 1 to 2 touchdowns and give you such a floor in this format.
No, last year he scored 19 touchdowns. If that goes up to 25, I wouldn't be shocked. And if it falls down, the lowest I could project is 15.
Yeah, for sure.
It's such a safe bet with Henry. Then he has Allen. That's always like just money in the bank.
So I agree. Like for sure, Allen's a very good quarterback. I'm just curious how Buffalo approaches this season because I don't think they're quite as desperate as the Lions, but they're getting there in terms of playoffs. Like
Yeah,
they are in it where they're like, hey, we need to go. Like we need to beat the Chiefs. But we need to make the Super Bowl. Like that's where we're at as an organization. Every year we get hyped up. He just won his MVP. So I wonder if there's any element of like, hey, Allen, you're not doing all those rushing touchdowns this year. Like we need you healthy. Because that's where like he's still gonna throw it like a gunslinger, but so much of his value comes from like the 10 plus rushing touchdowns. So
I could see that change, but like the desperation I think that would kick in the organization is in the
mhm.
playoffs, not the regular season. Like if they don't win 13 games minimum, then it's because Allen gets hurt. Like
Mhm.
that's the only way they're not the 1 or 2 seed. Like I think they're at worst like a 13 win team, and if they finish 16-1, it wouldn't shock me at all.
Yeah.
So I trust him in the regular season. I wouldn't panic. I wouldn't be
No.
worried.
Listen, he's still an elite quarterback, like for sure. But I don't know. Like I think I'd rather have Jaden, like even without Price. Like clearly Jaden's going cheaper. I think I'd just rather have Jaden straight up than him. But that's personal
I
preference, you
have him
know.
in the same tier. He spent, I believe, $8 more at 35 on Allen compared to Jaden, who went 27.
Hmm.
So yeah, I guess a better value, but like you know Allen's gonna be highly coveted. Like if you want Allen, that's just
Yeah.
how you have to approach it. But I'm
I
more
think
worried about
AJ Brown could be good this year. If he
oh
stays
yeah.
healthy, he could be a smash at 42. Like this is a guy we were taking in the first round.
He's a lock for top 10 receiver.
So the fun fact I love about the Eagles from last year was Jalen Hurts only threw like after I think week 6
Right.
into the playoffs, Jalen Hurts only threw 9 passes in the second half while trailing.
Shit.
That shows just how dominant they were in the second half of football games. Like you don't have to throw. And
Yeah.
yet like and that so that's why Saquon did so well, but also like that's why they weren't throwing as much. But even still, AJ Brown had the stat like really amazing stats. So he went over 1,000 yards. He's maybe the best receiver in football from like a player standpoint. He's certainly top three. Like I don't
He
know how you don't have him as top three from a talent
he's
perspective.
one of the most unguardable players on the
Yeah.
field. Uh,
So if you then think this year after the Eagles lost, I think like over 6 starters from their defense, if you think like, hey, maybe they're just not as like maybe they go from being historically good on defense to great. Maybe there are more second half games
they
that are
might have to throw
close.
a bit more. Yeah.
And with a harder schedule, like they might just have to throw a bit more. And AJ Brown's for sure going to be the biggest beneficiary of that. And then it's just a question of touchdown variance, which we know he could just like hit.
Yeah, I trust him for sure, and he's just a lock to be in your lineup every week and like average 14 points on the season per game.
Mhm.
But I kind of worry about some of the depth. Like early in the year, I think Cooper Cup is actually a really valuable
Mhm.
asset to have. I'm just worried about him getting hurt and it falling off.
I mean,
Diggs,
Cup last year in the beginning of the season seemed
right.
like the steal of in the fifth round. Like I remember being like, oh, yeah, so every like
Well,
the
week
winner
one he
had to
had
have
20
Cooper Cup.
targets.
Literally, it was like, oh, cool. After week 1, I was like, oh, yeah, the only correct pick in the fifth round was Cooper Cup. Even the fourth. I was like the answer was you had to reach on him in the fourth to
But
make
then
sure
he
you
got
got it.
hurt week two.
But point being though, just last season we saw him with elite production. Like, yeah, he got hurt, but like he might still have a couple of those games in him.
No,
Depends
until
on
he
how much
gets
they're gonna
hurt, he's going to
throw.
be
But
great.
yeah.
Diggs, I think, will be really good to start the year. I'm just a little worried about long term.
Yep.
And then Keenan kind of in the same boat. Like
Mhm.
that's where I think Addison is super clutch on this team. Where like you know exactly what you're getting at receiver the first few weeks, and then the age concerns start to creep in. Like Cup, Diggs, and Keenan are all over the age of 30. You know
Oh yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
concern. But Addison as like a stash starting week
Yeah.
4, that's great. So I think this
Mhm.
this roster will start to lean into Addison as the season goes on, and
100%.
that's where the bench like flyers on Bigsby, Williams, and Ford kind of come in. Like hopefully one of those guys pops. But even
Mhm.
if you're relying on like Diggs in the flex all year and you have Addison putting up high end numbers, like I think this team is good. I think it all just hinges on A Chain.
For sure.
That's I think
Yeah,
where there's a red flag. But
for sure.
good team.
Yeah, really
He
solid.
finished in third last year, so I love the Ravens and Cameron Dicker
Mhm.
aspect on the end of the roster there.
But
That's
this is
pretty
why
good.
I don't really like doing this approach for defense because like week 1 they're playing the Bills. It's like that could just be a very high
Right.
score. You know what I mean? Like you're going to get these really hard matchups where you're like, you probably shouldn't play the Ravens against the Bills. Like you should kind of target. Like
Maybe not.
that's why I picked Arizona because their week 1 matchup is the Saints. And it's like, like let me just I'll start there. Give me like the team with an average defense playing a shit team where I could get turnovers, I could get pick sixes, sacks, what have you.
That
So,
that's where I think having the second defense is really
yeah.
valuable. Like I want to be streaming defenses, but given everyone's going to do that as well, and like the elite defenses are going to never be
Mhm.
available, I'm not going to drop a team like the Ravens. But in
Yeah.
week 1, like against the Bills, maybe I'd like to also have, you know, even like the Patriots versus Las Vegas, like that would be
Exactly.
that'd be a pretty good
Yeah.
matchup to stream. Or like you just pointed out the Cardinals, who week 2, I don't think you trust the Cardinals very often, but in
Yeah.
against the Saints, you know they're a top 10
It's
defense.
mostly just because I've lost so many times because my defense gets me negative fucking points or like 1 point. And you're like, okay, yeah, that's great. Like, because they're playing a good team. But meanwhile, you could have done like even Cincinnati, who's terrible, but they're going against the Browns. Like, you can tell
Right.
yourself, cool. There's a situation where they just get a ton of picks. So, yeah, anywho,
I
but
I think he'll be okay. Maybe he drops Ferguson or
Yeah.
or 4 just to stream defense. But
I'm a Mark
I
Andrews
wouldn't.
believer this year. I don't know about you.
Early
Just
on,
from
I
a
trust him. Once Likely returns, then I'm a little concerned. But to expect less than like 7 touchdowns from him is pretty naive, and that's
mhm,
the mark at tight end that puts you like guaranteed top 10. So
100%.
yeah, he's great, but the yardage totals are never like amazing. It's just like touchdowns are hyper reliable.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think this is a good team. Um, the receiving core is a bit old. That's my only concern.
Mhm.
But we can probably move on. We got 3 teams left. We got Matt's team. I got Ramily.
He just loves Puka.
He's a Rams
Yeah.
fanboy, hardcore. But he's got Lamar, Genty, Tyrone Tracy. I worry about the running back depth on this team. That's something I
hmm
wrote down. But I also like that, like the timing of Jaden Blue inevitably overtaking that backfield, paired with
Yeah.
like Tracy slowly losing touches to Scadaboo. I think by the
hmm
time you can bet on Blue consistently, that's when you're gonna need that running back depth. So I love Tracy to start
Yeah.
the year, and I think it'll figure itself out as the season goes on.
I think Mixon might miss the year, which is kind
Same.
of
I'm starting to think that
like
as well.
like for a dollar, go for it. But I'm just like it's hard to like I can't make the comment of like, oh, when Mixon comes back, then you have that. I don't know if that's going to
No,
happen.
I think it was a fine pick for $1. Like by all means, take him. You can put him on IR. But if you ever need the IR slot, I'd probably cut him if like we hit week 5 and there's no shot of him practicing. Like yeah, very scary. I
And
think
Loveland, you're gonna have to weather this. Like week one, I could see Komet like outsnapping London and even like scoring more points than
I
London. So
wouldn't
for
go that
you,
far, but it's just the Bears have a
yeah,
crowded target share in the first place. It might be a little shaky early on, but the upside's so
yeah.
undeniable.
But my point being, I think any Loveland owner, you kind of got to weather the storm in the beginning that I think might come.
Hmm.
Uh, like where you might not, the usage might not be what you want it to be, or like Caleb might not be who you want him to be.
That's fair.
Uh, so just like hang in there.
But Flowers
That's a
stacked with
steal.
Lamar. He got him
Six
at
dollars for Flowers. Like there's a scenario where
that's round
Flowers,
7, bro. That's insane on
yeah,
Flowers.
like there's a scenario I think where Flower, like, because they've talked this offseason a ton about like he deserves more volume. It's kind of like the like I understand it's the problem the Lions have of like there's only one football, so you can only give the ball to one person
Hmm.
each play. But like if there's the scenario where Flowers can consolidate more volume or like just hit the high touchdown run where he's just scoring more from outside the 20, he could be great.
He has top 15 upside if the touchdowns can just hit.
Yeah.
But some weeks he gives you like 20 points, and then sometimes he burns you with like 4 points the next. That's
Mm-hmm.
the only problem with him, the massive variance.
Mm-hmm.
But to have him at that price is so clutch.
Really good.
Puka Lad, like that's such a lock every week. And then
Yeah, for
he did
sure.
spend 49 on Genty,
I think
but
that's fair.
that's
I
13th
think that's
overall,
fair.
top round 2. That's fair.
Like I
Um,
like I think that of course with Genty, there's the scenario where he's like a top three running back. Like he's like you could see that a
Definitely.
ton.
It's possible for
I
sure.
I but I had my heart set on Bowers, so that's why I was like, well, I'm just not taking Genty. Like I don't want to repeat my mistake before where you take like the round one and round two fantasy pick from the same team of
Yeah, I
Brees and
wouldn't want
Garrett.
both of them on the same team.
You're just like, all right, that's too much exposure.
A little bit. Raiders, I want to believe in, but if they crash and burn, it wouldn't be like the most surprising thing. But they should be
hmm
good. At least on
Yeah.
offense for fantasy, I think they should be good. But
Oh yeah.
Lamar at quarterback, that's always awesome. He does have Stafford on the bench, so like for the stack, I guess, but you don't really need Stafford. He picked up Amari Cooper after he put Mixon on IR for zero
hmm
dollars. That's worth a flyer.
Yeah, you could see.
He also has to wait on Jaden Reed getting healthy, and Shakir's listed as questionable, but it sounds like he'll be healthy for week 1. I think that's actually a really good bench stat. Shakir, from a floor
hmm
standpoint, is really valuable, and so is
Yep.
Eckler. I think Eckler's actually sneaky clutch
I like that too.
for
Like
depth.
everyone's steaming up Bill so
Right.
much, but in my mind, I'm like, I don't know. Like Eckler could just be a veteran solid pick this year. I think he's different. Like he provides a unique enough skill set. Like maybe he catches more passes, who's to say? But like I think he could fill in.
He'll be relevant.
Yeah,
If
100%.
if he's ever like the starter, then Eckler has like 15-point
Mhm.
potential like pretty easily. Um, he's just old. That's the only problem with Eckler. He's like 31, I think.
And I don't like, at least I took the Brian Robinson trade as more of like a Chris Rodriguez thing than maybe a Bill thing. Mostly just because I feel like Brian Robinson and Rodriguez have like a similar skill set, which is that up the middle kind of bruisery type. So they
Hmm.
were probably like, well, we've got this guy, so we know we don't need this other guy. And like we don't need to pay him coming up soon. So let's just like get rid of him a bit. Obviously, Bill helped, like where they're like, we have
Yeah,
enough quality back. But I do think my point, what I'm getting at really is I think Rodriguez is going to get some touches.
I think he'll be somewhat involved, but not like that big of a deal. I think
Mhm,
based on what happened in their backfield last year, like it was already a committee where B Rob
mhm,
in touches per game, he was not even cracking 13. It was like
mhm,
12.9 touches per game. So they weren't relying on him that much. His production was hyper touchdown reliant. He was
mhm,
scoring two touchdowns every 3 games, and that's
mhm,
what like kept him afloat in fantasy. But he got hurt, and then he also fumbled a couple times, and when he was
mhm,
off the field, their production didn't fall off from like a team standpoint when they did have to rely on Rodriguez and Jeremy
mhm.
McNichols. So it's like, okay, well, if Eckler doesn't get hurt, we already have like the number 2 that we trust.
Yeah,
JCM looks arguably just as good as B Rob. And then we also
yeah.
have the depth like you're mentioning with Rodriguez where like we know if we have to turn to him, we're still fine. Like the fact
Mhm,
they have Jaden Daniels at quarterback, like they don't need a good running back core. Like
yeah.
just the threat of Daniels running as well also leads to higher yards per
Mhm,
carry. Like they did not need B Rob, and if they weren't going to pay him after this year, then like yeah, give you a chance to play for somebody else. And it seemed like a mutual agreement. Like I would like to be traded, and we're comfortable letting you go.
100%.
So I think it worked out for B Rob. Like if you're gonna go anywhere as a backup, put it in the Kyle Shanahan system, where
Mhm.
like if McCaffrey goes down, I'm gonna fucking look elite. Like look at Jordan Mason,
Oh
the
yeah,
contract he
who's
got.
got like a contract and yeah,
Yeah,
so I agree.
but this team, as long as Tracy covers a lot of ground, I like this team from like a floor standpoint every week. I think they'll be a hard team to beat.
And then like the big question is going to be, does Loveland become what he could become? Like that's kind of
Yeah.
what like he very easily could just be a fine enough tight end, but you're like in taking him, you're kind of hoping he gets you up to like that tier two, maybe even tier one tight end. Like that's just
Mm-hmm.
what you're doing with Loveland and Warren.
That'll
So
be the wild card. If Loveland like ever scores a touchdown, then that week
mhm.
it's probably like an automatic win.
Yeah.
But good team.
Really
Rams
good.
defense underrated. McLaughlin on the Bucks.
Good,
That's
good week one matchup for the Rams defense too. That's why I they were my second choice after Arizona.
not bad. Houston offense a little shaky.
Hmm.
That run game is scary. Here's the thing: if he ever does get RB1 production from Mixon, then this will be
Yeah.
a scary, scary roster.
Hmm. Oh yeah. No, but yeah, I'm a little nervous.
Okay, now Riverrat's team. I think these last two are some of the sneakiest like league winners we
I will say
have.
this was a wild team. Like I clocked him during the draft just because he took Gibbs and I was interested in Gibbs up to like 56. So like once he like went over 56, I was like, all right, clearly like take him. But he then sat there after Gibbs and didn't take another player for so long. He like was in on bids, but like it didn't work out. It was just wild to be like, whoa, we've like gone through the second round now, and you are still sitting there with just Gibbs.
Yeah, he did wait a while, and I think it benefit him because some of his
Mhm.
depth at receiver is really, really scary. Like full
Mhm.
roster is Burrow at quarterback. Spent 15. Like obviously Burrow's valuable, but
Yeah.
compared to Jalen Hurts for 21, maybe like just a little pricey, but not bad. I wouldn't complain about that too much. ETN, that's a big gamble. Like running back on this team is, I think, really scary beyond Gibbs. But last year, I had Gibbs and then no depth once Pacheco went down, and it
Yeah.
worked out fine for me. So I think his receiving core is fucking like awesome. Worthy,
Yeah.
JSN, Tet McMillan, Jamison Williams, and then also
Hmm.
Josh Downs for like a really safe floor every week.
Yep.
I don't think he needs the third running back because he's got such good receivers where like that's clearly the flex play every week.
100%.
And he also got them at like a good price. Like JSN actually went top of round 3 for 37, so that 2-3 turn pricing the same as Lad McConkey.
Hmm.
Fine. Wide receiver 12 overall. He had the budget to do it later on, so
Hmm.
he did
Yeah.
save himself with that. But then he also got
Really.
Worthy for a real discount. He got Worthy for 12. That's round 6
That's
on
nice.
Worthy. Tet for 11 is also round 6. And then he got
That's good.
Jamison Williams for 14. That's round 5. That's pretty fire. And then Etienne and Charbonnet both for 4.
Yep.
And then he also has McBride. I think he overspent on McBride a little bit. But
Hmm.
just to have that elite tight end, you're never upset with that situation.
I love his like backup running backs. So like I'm a Samson
Yeah.
believer. Samson, Giddens, Keaton, Mitchell. Like if any of those three ever get into like that starting role, and in Charbonnet too. Like
Yeah.
there's a way like it's all injury related, but then you're like, oh, you could just absolutely crush. Like I that's one of my favorite strategies to do in fantasy where you take those high upside handcuffs because then it's just like cool. These are fun little lottery tickets that I just get to
No,
throw in there.
I think his bench approach is really, really solid. Very,
Yeah.
very high upside. And
I even
then
think you could start Charbonnet if you ever needed to, just like even with Walker in. Like you could, it's probably not
I don't
gonna,
know about that.
it, it's not gonna be nice, but if you were ever in a real bad pinch, just like throw him in your RB2 spot and like hopefully something
It's
happens.
not the end of the world, but it's pretty unlikely to actually pan out if Walker stays healthy. Like I was looking at
Yeah.
his game log last year when Walker was available. For him to crack 10 touches if Walker's healthy is extremely rare.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. And then yeah, you're just leaning on Travis Etienne to actually be relevant here, even though he was pretty bad last year.
He could pop. It's possible,
Yeah.
but no, if ETN sucks, then he might struggle for wins early on, but at some point one of those backup running backs is going to be a clutch plug-in. Um I think he has
Yeah.
a really good team.
Which receiver are you sitting?
Um
Because you gotta sit one.
I think
And that might be it might become evident by like week 4 who you're sitting, but like that could be agonizing.
I think week 1 I might personally sit Tet coming off the minor hamstring injury. Even though they traded Thielen, like I just like to see what happens there. But the Jags matchup is really really nice. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's gonna be hard to know exactly who to bench, but the top 4 he has is so good. I'm not worried about who I'm benching. I think whoever you're starting is really reliable.
Hmm. And for me, Gibbs is the RB1 overall, so that's never
Okay,
bad.
he
Yeah.
was the RB2 last year overall. So
Yeah, and what that is, that's even with Monty not getting hurt. Like clearly if he retired tomorrow, Gibbs is like the 101.
yeah, the floor on Gibbs is so safe, and then the upside is really really tremendous. This is a good
Hmm.
team.
Solid team.
I like this team.
Yeah.
Bill's defense against Baltimore, maybe not the best start week 1, but Evan McPherson at kicker, that's
Yeah.
always a fine pick.
Hmm.
The,
And I thought Keaton Mitchell looked really good in the preseason.
he did,
Like so that's a fun one. Like if Henry ever got hurt, or if
right.
Mitchell could at least just like take over for Justice Hill. Like that's what you're kind of hoping is that he could or like a game where Baltimore might. And this is kind of more of a best ball thing to say, but like a game where Baltimore is winning by a ton, and they're like, "All right, take a seat."
Yeah, I could see them like in the fantasy playoffs, like late year, if they're locking up the 1 seed. Like, okay,
Mhm.
Henry can take a bit of a rest in the second half. We'll lean on Keaton and Justice a little bit more,
Yeah,
but you need Henry to go down to
yeah.
actually start him. Um, and Riverrat finished in second place last year, so a very very sharp drafter historically in this setting. And then the last team, I think probably the deepest team, probably the most balanced team. Um, I think this is the best bench you can find
Hmm.
with Pasture Interferents, Nathaniel's team. We have
Hmm.
Kyler and Caleb at quarterback. That's risky, but they both have the rushing value where I think it's totally fine.
Hmm.
And then running back, There's a bit of like health concerns with like Pacheco. He's got James Cook, but that should be totally fine. He's got Swift and David Montgomery, and then also the flyer on Scadaboo. Like probably the best depth at running back of any team in the league.
Swift is wild this year. Like that could be one that we just have so wrong.
I
Because
know.
like I feel like he went down because everyone was like, oh, they're clearly going to take somebody, or like there's he sucks, or Ben Johnson hates him because he's benched him before. He's clearly not going to be the guy. And then just everything that's happened since has pointed to him being the guy, and we've all been like stubbornly saying, no, I don't believe it. No, probably not. My worry though is it's like Zamir White last year, where it's like clearly it's going to be him. Like who's going to take? It's the dead zone
Right.
running back argument where it's like, but who's going to do it? And it's like we don't know it yet. Like it could be someone not on the roster yet. It could be anything.
he
So I
he,
don't
ha-
know.
he has
That
been
could come.
staying healthy the last few years. That was kind of like the big knock on him early in his career, but he's actually not finished outside the top 20 any of like the last 4 seasons. Like he's actually been really, really consistent. He's one of
Hmm.
my highest drafted players in best ball this summer. But
Yeah,
his
for
price
sure.
like steadily increased. Like I remember back at the draft, like in May and April, he was going at pick like 120, and now he
Mhm.
goes at like pick 60. Like he's been one of the most steady, consistent risers and like underrated assets all summer.
Yeah.
Love to have him plus Montgomery. Like he can
Hmm.
tolerate two running backs being like absolute duds, and he's still perfectly fine.
Yeah,
And then his
for sure.
receiving core is pretty dope with Neighbors, Metcalf in the starting lineup. Like that's
Mhm.
really safe. But then he also has DJ Moore, Travis Hunter on the bench.
Travis Hunter is going to be so interesting this year because I've like my I don't know what your Hunter take is if you've said it, but my take is like he's going to be an offensive player, even though like
Yeah,
reports
I've
keep coming up that
shifted
he's
to
going to
that
be
side.
defensive. Because they need help on offense. Like I don't know who
Absolutely.
their wide receiver too. Like behind Brian Thomas, their wide receiver. It's like De'Ami Brown. Is that who it is?
That's who everyone claims it is. I still think Parker Washington is going to be more like
But
targeted
like
than
that
Diami.
point being, that's just a guy. Like
Right, exactly.
they need
Irrelevant.
help on offense, and he was such a great receiver in college. And even for his own sake, he should like elite wide receivers get paid so much more than elite cornerbacks at their first contract. So like it behooves him
Yeah.
to be more of a wide receiver. Like and it's not even it's like millions and millions of dollars of difference. Like I think an elite cornerback gets like 9 million, but like an elite receiver can get like 30 million easy.
Yeah, I think the highest paid corner is at like 21 or 22, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it's a little bit higher than that because it is a
Yeah.
valuable position to have. So it's in the 20s, but we
But
we
like the
know that
bar for
receivers in the
receiver
high
is yeah.
30s.
Yeah. So for him, he should want to be a receiver. The Jags need him to be a receiver.
T Law's lobbying for him to be a receiver. Like yeah, everything is pointing to him playing way more wide receiver.
So that could be an absolute steal of a value because he was also like a very good receiver in college. Like that's the other part of it.
I think he's a top 30 receiver this year for sure.
Hmm.
I think the volume will carry him. There's going to be a lot of like check downs, but
Hmm.
he's going to have like kind of a Chris Godwin role in the Liam Cohen system, and there's a chance he's literally top 15. Like I
And like
wouldn't I
they
wouldn't
don't give
expect
up.
that, but there's a
Yeah,
chance that he really really does crush.
they don't give up what they gave up to go get him to just put him at cornerback.
Exactly.
Like he needs to be scoring touchdowns so they could be like, see, this is why we did it. Like look how good he is on offense with
Hmm.
like packages on defense, of course, like where it's like quarters and like they're clearly throwing. It's like, okay, get out there.
Yeah. This team also has Tyler Warren as the backup tight end to Njoku, but Warren's probably the starter.
I don't understand that, especially when you paid 19 for Warren. It's like at that point, you should be starting him.
Well,
So like it's
I think
more the
it's
six for Njoku where
I
I'm
kind of
like,
understand his logic on this because like Njoku was so elite with Flacco 2 years ago, and then they get the Bengals' terrible defense. Like I understand the logic of wanting to start Njoku week one, because he did pay $6 for Njoku, and that's like the tight end 7 off
but
the
then if
board.
I'm gonna spend that much money at tight end, I'd rather just go get Kittle.
Well, the only reason he spent that is because he was at the end of his bench and he had a
Mm,
massive like budget. Like I remember
okay.
commenting on it during the live stream. It was like you're either filling out this bench and leaving like $15 for your starting
Oh, that
defense,
makes more
or
sense
you
then.
are depleting the budget and getting into this bidding war on Tyler Warren, and it made a
Yeah.
lot of sense. So
Okay. Then I take that back. I get what you're saying.
at least week one, because we don't know what to expect from Warren, I get it, but I would probably feel comfortable starting him above Njoku. But
Hmm.
I also understand just the matchup argument for Njoku
Hmm.
week one. Like the Bengals can't stop anyone, and then Flacco had such a good connection with him. Like
Yep.
I at least get it, but personally, I'd probably just stick with Warren.
And
Um,
and I'm a Scatabo believer. I think he could be very good.
One
Like
day,
him in college, man. Like it's just
yeah.
like it's unreal. Like he's not just any old running back. You look at like his stats and you look at his tape and you're just like,
No,
what am I seeing? Like he look
he's
like
off the
and
charts.
to then be like, oh yeah, he went here in the NFL draft. You're like, what are you talking about? Like no, like how does that make any fucking sense?
He's got so much upside. But Tracy's still relevant, and then it's just the Giants' backfield. Like if it's split, how
Sure.
many touchdowns are you actually going to get? But if Tracy ever goes down, you have such high potential with Scadaboo.
Hmm.
So I love this team's depth. I think starting the right quarterback is really going to be the only problem for him because, in my
Hmm.
opinion, as high as the ceiling is on Caleb and Kyler, even though they're running quarterbacks, their floor is actually really lower than you would think. Like
We've
Kyler had a
seen
lot of
it be
games less
bad
than
for
15
sure.
points last season. And then
We've seen it be bad.
yeah, that's the only risk, but love the Texans defense. Will Lutz a kicker. That's pretty dope. This team is
Yeah.
really solid all around. Like there's not a single hole. It's just like you got to start the right quarterback.
And I
That's
even
that's
like
it.
Pacheco, like Kareem Hunt.
Same.
Like Elijah Mitchell seems pretty washed, at least from the camp reports. Kareem Hunt, kind of same thing. Brashard Smith, like he could be like Jerick McKinnon, but that's not the same role. Like he could like you're hoping if you're a Brashard Smith believer, you're hoping he becomes like this passing down kind of guy. So if Pacheco is actually healthy, I think they'd prefer him to be their main guy, and he's just going to get a ton of touchdowns.
No, if I didn't get Travion as my RB3 at the price I did, my plan actually was to target Pacheco as my third running back. And Pacheco I think went for 13 here.
14.
14. So
Like I'd rather have Travion at 15, but that's still like he could just absolutely crush that.
yeah, as long as he stays the focal point of the backfield, then he could be top 10. It's a little crowded, and last year his injury was kind of a concern, but he looks good. He looks healthy. I think he's going to be a very valuable asset
I
long
was
term.
nervous when they like the first move of the offseason was them getting Elijah Mitchell. That made me nervous for Pacheco,
But
but then like
now,
every bit of camp news has been Elijah Mitchell might not make the team.
yeah.
So like, all right, I think he's fine.
No, I'm only worried that like Kareem Hunt actually vultures him a few times, and that Brashard
Mhm.
Smith is so involved in the passing game that it craters him. But I'm not that worried about it. I think Pacheco's like going to be given the opportunity to be the stud, and until he proves that he can't handle that, then it's his backfield to lose.
Mhm.
So
100%.
this
Yeah.
this I think is a playoff team. I think River Rat's also a playoff team. I'm hopeful that my receiving core carries me to a playoff uh
Mhm.
spot, but I'll
I
be
think
honest,
if
I'm a little concerned about my bench at receiver.
I think if the team, so this team with Malik Neighbors, I do think he is going to get 50 points in week 17 because they're playing the
Oh
Raiders.
yeah,
So he could easily have like
that'll be
50
scary.
points if he's healthy there. Just because like both teams are going to want to win because like both coaches need have something to prove. So they're going
Right.
to play their starters in week 17, even though they'll both be out of the playoffs. So because of that though, if both teams are out of the playoffs, I think their defenses will play shitty because they're like, whatever, I'm not tackling. Like,
Maybe,
so it
but
could just be, it could be like one of those very high shootouts because it's two
hmm
bad teams, but like they both are going to try to win the game, kind of. So it could be like Malik Neighbors with Drew Lock last year, where he gets like just an insane amount of points in that week 17.
especially if Jameis Winston's the quarterback. I'm starting to think Jackson Dart's going to be fine. I think Dart offers more upside than Russell Wilson for Neighbors, but if we ever get Jameis, Neighbors is the clear wide receiver one. Like I
Yeah.
think he'll just crush so
Oh, yeah.
fucking hard. But all right, man, this was fun.
This was fun. It'll be a good year for sure. I'm excited.
Yeah,
Yeah.
can't wait for the season to start. Like we drafted on Wednesday and we had to wait like a full week, so it's kind of like a little anticlimactic, but oh
Mhm.
boy, should be fucking dope once the
No,
season kicks off.
I'm really pumped. Yeah. My other hot take is that uh, This will be the cheapest Brock Bowers will ever be for the rest of his career until he's washed. And next year the debate's going to be, is he worth the 107?
Perhaps, man. Yeah, I mean
So
he's the new
that's how
Kelsey
I felt.
basically.
In best ball, I take him anywhere I can in the second because I'm just like
Wow.
I think like that's just like yeah like he's and we have another draft coming up. I'll let you know that's where I'm at him. I think I think it could be like this is a future Hall of Famer, and
Probably,
we're
yeah.
just gonna see. Like I forget what the stat is that I saw, but it was basically like him, Zach Ertz, and Kelsey were like it was something like they were the only tight ends to have like as many like over a certain number of catches and then just be like tackled immediately, like have such a low amount of yak. It was
Okay.
like his yak was so low last year, even though he had all these catches. And but like meanwhile in college, he was just this yak monster. We're like absolutely torching people after the catch. So I think that my point being a lot of Bauer's skeptics this year are like, yeah, but how does he improve? Like, I think he could just like go from being like bottom three in yak to like leading the league in just in that stat and
If
get
his
more touchdowns that way.
touchdowns double, then I would agree with you on like next year he's probably a first round pick.
Hmm.
But because of the situation and like just building my roster, I was like committed to Kittle in like the 3-4 turn. Like Kittle round 4 was just like such a good pick to me. And there was a time when he was going round 5. I was so on board with Kittle that I was like,
Yep.
for that reason, I'll pass on Bowers and McBride. But he Bowers definitely the tight end one. You got
Yeah.
a great asset there. All right, man. I think that's calling it. I'll
Hmm.
see you again soon. Maybe we'll play some golf soon.
Would love it. Yeah. And I'm excited to recap each week how we used to do. That could be fun
Yeah,
and see how everybody's doing. And yeah,
if
really,
you're
really
free
excited for
on
the season.
Sunday nights, maybe we could do a recording during like
Yeah. I love
Sunday Night
that.
Football.
Love
That'd
that.
be
Yeah,
dope.
yeah. That'd be a fun time for sure.
Sweet,
Yeah,
man.
excited for the season, getting back into it.
Awesome, bro. Looking forward to it.
Right on. See you, buddy.
Take care, bro. Have a good one. Bye.